Chapter 1543. Everyone on Princess Katie's side was shocked. The person you found is not bad. Princess Kaidai revealed a rare smile. To be honest, I didn't know he was so powerful. Chuyu was also surprised. Her eyes were filled with shock. Indeed, when she met Lin Xian previously, he only displayed the strength of a two-star king. However, from the looks of it, he wasn't even a two-star king. Even a three-star king was no match for him. In the surroundings, the experts under Princess Kaidai's command were silent. Previously, they were still complaining and mocking Lin Xian, thinking that he was just a figurehead. However, from the looks of it, they were completely wrong. Lin Xian defeated Blood Monk easily without using his real body and only controlling a long sword. They admitted that they were no match for him. On the third prince's side, the atmosphere was extremely solemn. The martial artists under the third prince's command all widened their eyes in disbelief. Meanwhile, Dong Qinshan's face was filled with fear. Luckily, he didn't make a move. Otherwise, he would be the one dead now. Even the third prince's expression was solemn. To be honest, even he didn't expect Blood Monk to be defeated so thoroughly. Instantly, he snorted in displeasure. Humph! What is this trash Blood Monk doing? He's really embarrassing us. Fire Demon said coldly. Then he looked at the third prince. I'll go. His methods are a little strange. I don't feel at ease if I send someone else. Alright, go ahead. You must take him down. The third prince's voice was solemn. However, he wasn't too worried. Fire Demon was the third strongest martial artist under his command. He was extremely powerful. In the past, all the experts under Princess Kaidai combined couldn't even defeat Fire Demon. Therefore, the third prince was very relieved to have him take action. However, he still snorted in his heart. He wanted to see who that mysterious martial artist was. How dare he be so arrogant? Moreover, he had already thought it through. After defeating Lin Xian, he would make Lin Xian submit. Otherwise, he would kill Lin Xian. Because if he couldn't use such an expert, he wouldn't let anyone else have him. Thinking of this, a cold glint appeared in the third prince's eyes. On the other side, Fire Demon's body swayed and he appeared high up in the sky. His robe fluttered as he exuded a powerful aura. He was like the god of fire, mighty and extraordinary. What? Fire Demon! Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. They didn't expect that it would be Fire Demon's turn to make a move so soon. The Fire Demon was different from the Blood Monk. Previously, Monk Shui was only a martial artist ranked 9th. He could be considered an expert. However, in the eyes of the crowd, he was not that famous. However, the Fire Demon was different. He was a super expert and had a great reputation among the younger generation. There was almost no one who didn't know about the pair of fiery demon palms. Thus, when they saw the Fire Demon attack, everyone was extremely shocked. Even Princess Kaidai's side is worried. This was because the number one expert on their side had been defeated by the Fire Demon. Therefore, they knew the Fire Demon's strength very well. Oh no, the Fire Demon is attacking. I wonder if that mysterious person can block it? The group of martial artists were worried, but Princess Kaidai also frowned. She asked in a low voice, "What do you think? Can he defeat the Fire Demon?" I don't know. Chuyu shook his head. But from the looks of it, even if he can't win, he won't lose too badly. Hearing that, Princess Kaidai nodded slightly. For some reason, she became nervous. This was because she realized that whether she could enter the first echelon this time depended on a mysterious person who had yet to show himself. If it had happened before, she would not have cared. However, it was happening now. In the sky, the Fire Demon's aura was strong. He looked around and said coldly, "Kid, I advise you to come out and fight with your real body. Otherwise, you will die a horrible death. My real body is here. Whether you can find it or not will depend on your ability." Lin Xian's voice sounded again. Facing the Fire Demon, his voice was still calm and fearless. "Humph! You don't know what's good for you." The Fire Demon sneered and then slapped his palm. Suddenly, a fiery red palm appeared in the sky like a glazed flame. Soon, it grabbed the treasure sword that was floating in the sky. Sizzle! Clang! A terrifying heat was emitted like a wave of fire. In an instant, the half-Earth-grade treasure sword was burned into two. What? That's terrifying. Seeing this scene, everyone felt their scalps go numb. That was a half-Earth-grade treasure sword. Although it was not as good as an Earth-grade treasure weapon, it was still a sharp treasure sword. But now, it was actually broken by someone. This scene was simply too shocking. What a terrifying flame. In the crowd, the youth from the Fire Cloud Nation was shocked when he saw this scene. As a fire elemental cultivator, he naturally knew how difficult it was to break a half-Earth-grade treasure sword with just flames. However, the other party had done it so easily. In addition to the other party's strength, he had definitely mastered a very terrifying flame. Not only the Fire Cloud Nation's experts, but even Zhou Tian frowned. Damn it, this guy's flame is even more terrifying than my sky fire. It would be difficult for that guy to defeat him. On the other side, Fatty Luo rubbed his hands. Brother, I bet on you to win. You must hold on for me. On the side, the youth shook his head. Fatty Luo, you are too bold. You actually bet on someone I've never heard of. I dare to bet that you will definitely lose this time. In fact, that was what everyone thought. Almost everyone had bet on the fire demon. The fire demon was too powerful. No matter how strong the mysterious person was, he would not be able to defeat him. Hee kid, your sword is already broken. Come out. The fire demon sneered, his expression extremely arrogant. In the crowd, Lin Xian also frowned slightly. He did not expect the other party's flame to be so terrifying that it could break a half-Earth-grade treasure sword so easily. Interesting. You are not bad. You are worth my time, Lin Xian said indifferently as he nodded. When this voice rang out, it caused an uproar among the crowd. Even the fire demon's expression darkened. Kid, you have successfully angered me. You better not let me find you. Otherwise, you will die a horrible death. However, what answered him was a fierce attack. The broken sword blossomed with the resplendent light. Then 2 shocking streaks of sword chi slashed forward. You are courting death. The fire demon was enraged and waved his palm. At the same time, a fiery red light overflowed into the sky, piercing through the void. As for those sword energies, they were simply too sharp. The sword chi crisscrossed and the light soared into the sky. The terrifying aura made everyone's heart tremble. With a slash of the sword, the fiery red palm images were all split apart. Chapter 1544. What kind of sword chi is this? It's too terrifying. This person must be a peerless swordsman. Everyone was shocked. The first prince, third prince, Princess Kai Dai, and their subordinates all wore solemn expressions. This was because they discovered that the other party's strength was beyond their expectations. You're courting death. Break for me. The fire demon was furious because that sharp sword chi made him feel extremely uncomfortable. It even made him feel a sense of trepidation. He had only felt this feeling from Jiangnan Tian and Han Li. But he didn't expect that a mysterious martial artist would be able to make him feel this way. He couldn't accept this. This feeling of unease made the fire demon furious. In the next moment, he stretched out his palm and a resplendent light blossomed. Suddenly, a huge red palm stretched out like a cloud of fire, covering the sky and earth, completely enveloping all of the sword chi. His goal was very simple. He wanted to refine all of the sword chi. Boom! The fiery red palm fell, bringing with it a terrifying temperature. He, the fire demon, was famous for his pair of fire demon palms. His palms were fused with extremely terrifying flames. These flames were even more terrifying than the legendary blue sky flames. Thus, it could be said that there was nothing that could remain intact under his palm. He believed that the other party's sword chi was the same. At this moment, seeing the fire demon use the fire demon palms, everyone was shocked. The martial artists on the third prince's side also nodded continuously. Even some of the older generation figures in the villa were extremely shocked. Many of the older generation experts nodded one after another. They were very optimistic about this fire demon because with his talent and strength, his future achievements would definitely be limitless. Boom! The terrifying fire demon palm stretched out, bringing with it endless heat waves, directly evaporating the lake below. Not only that, but several cracks were also blasted open in the void. The entire sky violently boiled like a huge boiler, roasting everyone until their faces turned pale. Some of the weaker ones were even directly sent flying by the aftermath of this palm. But fortunately, none of the people present were weak. After the initial cry of alarm, all of them quickly adjusted their defenses and retreated to a safe distance. In the next moment, they looked forward and cried out in alarm. Because in the sky, the two streaks of sword chi were rapidly trembling, emitting a resplendent light. Then, they turned into countless streaks of sword light that soared into the sky. That strong aura was too fierce. Even in this heatwave environment, everyone still felt a chill. The fire demon snorted coldly as all the power in his body surged into his palm again. Suddenly, the fire demon palm released an incomparably bright light. In an instant, it enveloped all the sword lights. Boom, boom. The terrifying sound of the collision rang out like a clap of thunder, resounding through the world. 10,000 swords chimed in unison, as if they wanted to destroy everything. But in the end, all of the sword chi was still enveloped by the flame demon palm. Not only that, but the entire void was distorted by the heat, and everyone's spiritual energy was evaporated. Ha! Brat, your sword chi is gone. Hurry up and come out. Fire demon raised his head and laughed. As for the warriors under the third prince, they all cheered. Great, the fire demon is so strong. That was natural. The fire demon was ranked third. That brat is still arrogant. He actually dared to look down on the fire demon. Now he knows how powerful I am. What mysterious expert. I think he's just SOSO. Why isn't there any movement? I guess that brat is definitely scared out of his wits and doesn't dare to come out at all. The third prince's side laughed wildly, while the others were exclaiming. On Princess Katie's side, the atmosphere was solemn. Sure enough, he still lost. No choice. The fire demon is too strong. Several warriors shook their heads and sighed. Princess Katie's expression was also solemn. Are we really going to lose? She had already discovered that the mysterious expert's strength was even more terrifying than the number one expert on her side. But even so, she still could not defeat the fire demon. Was she really unable to enter the first tier? You Princess Kai-Dai, don't look forward to it anymore. Do you have anyone else who wants to participate? If not, I'm going to challenge someone else. In the sky, the fire demon's expression was wild. He did not put Princess Katie's side in his eyes at all. The warriors under the third prince also laughed and said, Fire demon, don't waste time. Our opponent is the first prince. That's right. The third prince nodded. He only had one enemy, and that was the first prince. He did not put the others, including Princess Kai-Dai, in his eyes. Alright. The fire demon nodded and prepared to challenge the first prince. But at this moment, he frowned. On the third prince's side, the smile on his face instantly froze. The surrounding martial artists were all stunned. This was because a sharp sword light lit up in the sky, shaking the void as it slashed out from the terrifying fire demon's palm. In the sky, the sea of fire surged and waves of air rolled. A huge crack appeared, which was cut open by the sword chi. Not only that, but there were countless cracks in the crack. The entire sky seemed to have been cut into pieces. What? It rushed out. Everyone was shocked and could not believe it. The third prince's side was even more shocked. This was because a shocking sword light, like a bright divine rainbow, lit up the sky and slashed out from the fire demon's palm. Not only that, the sword light quickly slashed towards the fire demon. The fire demon's expression changed immediately. He did not expect that the opponent's sword chi was still there, and it was so sharp. Could it be that his fire demon's palm had lost its effect? Damn it, how is this possible? The fire demon's expression was very ugly, but now was not the time for him to think too much. This was because the sword chi was still slashing towards him. Clang, 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 bang. Even though the fire demon was extremely powerful, and his fire demon's palm was unparalleled in the world, he still could not fight back against the sword chi. His fire demon's palm was extremely red, and when it collided with the sword chi, there was a sonorous sound of vibration. The entire void trembled rapidly as if it was a painting that kept rolling. This scene stunned everyone. They had never imagined that the fire demon would actually fail. One should know that the fire demon's palm was extremely terrifying and could melt everything. But now, it could not shatter the bright sword chi. Buzz! Suddenly, thousands of sword lights flashed in the sky and quickly merged to form a shocking azure dragon that roared in all directions. Finally, a dragon-shaped sword chi spiraled in the void and rushed forward. Oh no! The fire demon's expression changed drastically when he sensed the sword chi. This was because the dragon-shaped sword chi was so terrifying that it made him shudder. He knew that this sword chi could still pose a threat to him. Therefore, he did not hesitate and quickly retreated. Chapter 1545. The dragon-shaped sword chi was too terrifying. It was dazzling and carried a monstrous killing intent. It quickly descended and enveloped him. Get lost! Fire Fiend roared angrily. Immediately, a red domain appeared beside him and quickly formed a huge shield. At the same time, he waved his hands, and the Fire Fiend palms shot into the sky. The palms were bright red and had mysterious patterns on them. They emitted a monstrous aura and slammed into the dragon-shaped sword chi. In the next moment, a shocking explosion occurred, and the entire sky trembled. Endless waves of air surged, drowning everything. However, the dragon-shaped sword chi was too powerful. It directly blasted the Fire Fiend palms away and even cut through Fire Fiend's domain. It slashed Fire Fiend's body. Bang! Fire Fiend was sent flying and crashed into the ground, forming a terrifying crater. Barf! He struggled to get up and spat out a mouthful of blood. His hair was disheveled, and he was in a sorry state. There was a deep sword mark on his body that had almost cut him in half. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. They could not believe that Fire Fiend had been defeated and was seriously injured. Fire Fiend. He was ranked third among the third prince's subordinates. Dong Qianshan and Blood Monk could not compare to him at all. It could be said that he was a true powerhouse. But now, he had been defeated. He had been struck by the sword chi. Until now, they had not even seen the other party's figure. At this moment, everyone was stunned. The third prince's face was terrifyingly gloomy. He had never thought that this would be the result. The first prince's eyes also flickered. That was because a mysterious powerhouse had appeared out of nowhere, and it was very disadvantageous to them. However, the first prince was happy to see the third prince's ferocious expression. On the other side, Princess Kaidai heaved a sigh of relief. To be honest, this scene had indeed exceeded her expectations. She had never thought that the other party would be able to defeat Fire Fiend. That was a pleasant surprise. Brother, you're really strong. However, with your skills, it's a pity that you're under Kaidai. Are you interested in joining my side? Don't worry, I'll definitely give you the best treatment. The first prince said with a smile. Hearing this, Princess Kaidai's face sank. She had never thought that the crown prince would try to poach her in public. At the same time, she was extremely nervous because she could not guarantee whether the other party would agree or not. After all, the first prince's status and strength both surpassed hers. However, Lin Xian shook his head. There's no need for that. I'm not anyone's subordinate, and I won't go over to your side. The only reason I'm taking action this time is to make an exchange with someone else. Apart from that, I also want to see what the strongest fighting force in the younger generation of the Dashuan Empire is like. As he finished speaking, his voice was filled with boundless killing intent. It was extremely sharp, and it shook space to the point terrifying cracks appeared. Indeed, Lin Xian had no interest in the fights between the princes and princesses. The reason why he acted was only because he had made a deal with Chuyu. He helped Princess Kaidai, and Chuyu helped him enter the Pill sect, that was all. But now, he had another idea, and that was to fight with the strongest of the younger generation in the Dashuan Empire. When the surrounding cultivators heard that, they were extremely shocked. You want to fight with the strongest prodigy in the Dashuan Empire? You're too arrogant. Kid, I'll take you down. Get out here and die. Angry roars sounded one after another, and most of them were from the third prince's subordinates. Naturally, they were the ones who had lost face after Fire Demon was defeated. Therefore, they gritted their teeth and wanted nothing more than to capture and kill Lin Xian on the spot. I'm just speaking the truth. If you're not convinced, feel free to attack. However, you have no chance of winning. Lin Xian spoke again. You're courting death. Shameless boasting. Immediately, a few cultivators rushed into the sky. Although they did not know where Lin Xian was, there were still a few sword lights floating in the sky. As long as they destroyed those sword lights, Lin Xian would naturally come out. However, they soon regretted their decision. That was because the sword chi in the sky had turned into a mountain and was pressing down on them. It was too terrifying. It was as heavy as a primordial demon mountain. In an instant, all the cultivators were sent flying. Bang, bang, bang. Those few people came quickly, and they flew out even faster. But at this time, Lin Xian's voice sounded out again. Trash don't come, let the strongest come out and fight. Hearing that, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This was too arrogant to actually challenge the strongest directly. Princess Katie's side was even more shocked. They never thought that this mysterious person was actually so powerful. However, Princess Kaidai revealed a smile, like a fresh flower blooming. She did not care about the other party's attitude as long as the other party's strength was formidable and could defeat the third prince and eldest prince's subordinates. That way, he would have the qualifications to enter the first tier. This was something she had always dreamed of. Now, it was actually really going to be realized. But the third prince and eldest prince frowned. The other party's arrogant attitude made them very displeased. Especially the third prince. A hint of icy killing intent appeared in his eyes. The other party's actions were undoubtedly a slap to his face. What he had to do now was to kill the other party to relieve the hatred in his heart. However, in this situation he would not make a move. He could only send the cultivators under him to fight. So he looked to the side. There, a young man in white sat there with his eyes closed, as if he was meditating. He was too quiet and did not fit in with the surrounding environment. At this moment, the young man in white felt the third prince's gaze and immediately opened his eyes. His pair of starry eyes were incomparably deep, as if they were magical. In this situation, I can only ask you to make a move, the third prince said softly. The third prince's attitude was very humble, at least he did not treat the other party as a subordinate. Okay. The young man in white nodded, then slowly stood up. As he moved, a powerful aura was emitted from his body and spread out in all directions. The expressions of the surrounding powerhouses all changed. Although they were also powerhouses and were usually arrogant, in front of the young man in white, they were as obedient as cats. Because no one dared to behave atrociously in front of the young man in white. Not only were the cultivators on the third prince's side shocked, at this moment, everyone in the entire Misty Wave Mountain Villa held their breaths. Because they knew that Jiang Nantian was about to make a move. In the Dashuan Empire, there was no one who did not know Jiang Nantian. It was because he was too dazzling. At the age of 25, his cultivation had reached the middle stage of a 3-star king, and his strength was incomparably terrifying. Countless seniors were no match for him. He was like a dazzling star that everyone could only look up to. Chapter 1546. Jiang Nanshan's figure fluttered like a bolt of white lightning as he arrived in the sky. But at that moment, another figure quickly flew over. Jiang Nantian frowned when he saw this figure. The others were shocked once more. Han Li. That's right, this figure was Han Li. He was a peerless genius on par with Jiang Nantian. However, Jiang Nantian was the #1 expert under the third prince, while Han Li was the #1 expert under the first prince. No one expected that even he would make a move now. Could it be that the mysterious person was truly so powerful? You want to make a move? Jiang Nantian asked with a frown. Of course. Didn't you hear? He's challenging the strongest genius. Of course he's talking about me. It was clear that Han Li was the strongest genius and Jiang Nantian wasn't. What do you mean? Are you saying I'm inferior to you? Jiang Nantian's voice was ice cold as he emitted a powerful aura. Of course you're inferior to me. Han Li sneered and his body also emitted a biting cold aura. The two auras collided in the air with a thunderous sound that shook the void. This kind of collision was too terrifying. Just the shockwaves alone sent many people flying. Everyone hurriedly retreated and looked at the sky nervously. Could it be that the two were going to fight ahead of time? Indeed, the two were extremely famous and their strength was comparable. It could be said that they were a pair of peerless geniuses. However, they had both won and lost in their battles. They hadn't truly shown who was more powerful. Thus, when they heard that Lin Xian was going to challenge the strongest person, both of them stepped forward to challenge him. But now it seemed that the two would likely fight ahead of time to determine the victor. Everyone was looking forward to it. But at that moment, Lin Xian's voice sounded out once more. No need to be so troublesome. You two can come one at a time. No one can escape. His voice was calm, but it carried an unquestionable domineering aura. One at a time? No one can escape? Do you think they're cabbages? They're peerless geniuses. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. In the sky, Jiang Nantian and Han Li were also stunned. What an arrogant fellow! Jiang Nantian frowned. Han Li faced the sky and laughed. Good, good, good. Brat, it's been a long time since you dared to speak to me like this. I want to see what skill you have. He snorted coldly and was about to attack. However, this time, Jiang Nantian stopped him. I came out first, so naturally I should make the first move. You dare to stop me? Han Li was enraged and his aura suddenly erupted like a torrential flood, instantly enveloping the surrounding area. Then he clenched his fist and punched out. In an instant, all the sword rays in the sky exploded. Brat, get out here. This voice contained a biting cold killing intent, causing many people to bleed from their ears and tremble. Since you want to be the first to die, I'll fulfill your wish, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Then, with a flash, he appeared in the sky. What? It has appeared. At that moment, everyone raised their heads to look at the sky. Their expressions were filled with shock. They did not expect that the mysterious man would finally appear. Brother, I knew you were here. Fatty Luo looked at the sky and grinned. What? It's really him. Zhou Tian, Han Kuan, Jade Beauty, Bai Yuran and the others looked at the figure in shock. They did not expect that the mysterious man was the young man they had met at the Fengyue brothel. Zhou Tian's heart beat wildly. He was extremely shocked. At that time, he had recklessly attacked the other party. He did not expect the other party to be so powerful. Fortunately, the other party did not kill her. Otherwise, she would have been dead. As for Jade Beauty and Bai Yuran, their faces were flushed and their eyes were filled with adoration. On the other side, Chu Yu also heaved a sigh of relief. She slowly said, Princess, it's him. It's him? Princess Kaidai looked at the figure in the sky with a shocked expression. To be honest, she was too shocked. She did not expect that Chu Yu would help her find such a powerful martial artist who could even contend with Jiang Nantian and Han Li. The third prince, the eldest prince, and the surrounding experts all looked at the sky with grave expressions. At that moment, Lin Xian became the center of attention. Jiang Nantian and Han Li also stared at Lin Xian. Among them, Han Li coldly asked, You are the mysterious man who attacked before? That's right, it's me. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back. Humph, it seems that's all there is to it. Let me see what qualifications you have to be so arrogant. With that said, Han Li clenched his fist again and punched. This punch was extremely terrifying. It was as if a mountain was trembling in the air. It directly shattered the void and arrived in front of Lin Xian. Clang. Lin Xian also clenched his fist and punched out to meet Han Li's attack. Suddenly, the two fists collided with a heaven-shaking sound. Terrifying cracks spread in all directions. The two did not use any divine abilities. It was a pure contest of strength. This attack was evenly matched. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect that the mysterious youth would be able to contend against Han Li. Han Li was also surprised. Good. I didn't expect you to have some strength. Take another punch from me. With that said, he punched out again. At the side, Jiang Nantian saw this scene and shook his head with a sigh. He knew that once Han Li attacked, it was impossible for him to stop unless victory was decided. But he did not want to take advantage of Han Li's precarious situation and fight 2 against 1. His figure blurred and he came down again. Suddenly, only Han Li and Lin Xian were left in the sky. Lin Xian let out a long roar and his body flickered with light. Countless strands of sword chi burst out from his body and soared into the sky. At that moment he was like a powerful sword god floating in the sky. He formed an incantation gesture with his hand and pushed it forward. Suddenly, a huge Cheong Chi appeared in the sky and roared as it charged forward. Boom! The two exchanged blows, shaking heaven and earth. It was as if 2 gods were fighting, and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Fortunately, the Misty Wave Mountain Villa was an ancient ruin and had powerful defensive formations. Otherwise, it would have been razed to the ground. Han Li used a mid-grade earth-grade martial art, the Heavenly Wind Fist, with terrifying might. As for Lin Xian, he used the 9 Heavens transformations. One demon beast after another flew out from his fingers to meet Han Li's attack. These were 2 types of ultimate arts. They were extremely terrifying and directly caused the entire void to explode. After several tens of exchanges, Han Li suddenly let out a long roar. I originally thought you had some strength, but it seems you're only SOSO. Since that's the case, let's end this battle. Die! He sneered and waved his hand. Suddenly, countless streaks of purple light soared into the sky and quickly covered it. Purple Devil Purgatory, seal all directions. Chapter 1547. A huge purple vortex appeared in the sky. Terrifying energy roared like a myriad of beasts, shocking everyone. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was surrounded by countless purple lights and sealed in a special space. The space was translucent, allowing everyone to clearly see what was happening inside. Countless streaks of purple energy roared like angry dragons and quickly blasted towards Lin Xian, wanting to blast him apart. Not good. This is the Purple Devil Purgatory, one of Han Li's consummate abilities. That's right. I heard that he used this Purple Devil Purgatory to kill many peerless geniuses. Even the older generation couldn't break it. It's over. I'm afraid that Lin Xian won't be able to break it either. The scene in the sky caused everyone's expression to change, especially Jade Beauty, Bai Yuran, and the others below. They looked anxious. Although they weren't cultivators of the Dashuan Empire, they had heard of the Purple Devil Purgatory. It was easy to imagine how terrifying this ability was. On the other side, Princess Kaidai, Chu Yu, and the others wore grave expressions. They didn't expect that Han Li would be able to use such a terrifying martial art so quickly. Jiang Nantian's eyes flickered. He had fought with Han Li many times and naturally knew how terrifying the Purple Devil Purgatory was. Apart from him, very few people could escape. I wonder if he can escape? Or will it end here? The Crown Prince and the others all laughed. What mysterious expert. He has no chance of victory against Han Li. That's right. Although that brat's skills are decent, he can't contend against a top genius like Han Li. This battle is over. Many people sneered. They believed that Lin Xian had no hope of escaping. In the sky, the Purple Devil Purgatory. A translucent purple space floated in the air. Violent energy surged within it, and Lin Xian bore the brunt of it. However, Lin Xian didn't appear to be anxious. He appeared to be quite calm. In the next moment, his eyes focused and he coldly shouted. Then he clenched his hand and grabbed at the air. Suddenly, a black devil sword quickly appeared. This sword was completely black and had demonic patterns on it. It emitted a mysterious and terrifying aura. 9 Hell Devil Sword. With a slash of the sword light soared into the sky. The entire demonic sword emitted an incomparably terrifying energy. Boom! In the next moment, the black sword radiance flashed and slashed violently on the Purple Demon Purgatory. Immediately, a cracking sound was heard. The entire void began to tremble violently. In the next moment, an astonishing explosion was heard. The terrifying purple demon purgatory was actually split into two by the sword strike. Lin Xian, on the other hand, turned into a beam of light and dashed out at high speed. What? It was broken. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked, not daring to believe this. The experts on the first prince's side opened their mouths wide and their minds went blank. That was the Purple Devil Purgatory, an extremely powerful secret technique that Han Li possessed. In the past, many genius martial artists and even older generation figures had fallen under this move. But now, it was actually split apart by a sword. Even Han Li's pupils abruptly contracted and he wore an expression of extreme shock. He refused to believe that his opponent would be able to breach his purple demon purgatory so easily. Damn it, how is this possible? How did he do it? However, the only answer he received was a shocking sword radiance. The Black Nine Darkness Devil Sword was like a black mountain. It was incomparably terrifying as it ruthlessly smashed towards Han Li. In the next moment, Han Li was forced back. What? He was forced back. Everyone cried out in alarm, not daring to believe their eyes. The incomparably powerful Han Li had actually been forced back? This was truly too shocking. At this moment, everyone in the Misty Wave Mountain Manor was extremely shocked. Brat, I'm going to kill you. After being forced back by a single sword strike, Han Li was incomparably crazed. He hadn't anticipated that his opponent would be so powerful, so he had been careless and had been forced back. This was intolerable. At this moment he was completely enraged. Han Li floated in the air and stopped his retreat. His purple robes quickly fluttered and he emitted an incomparably terrifying aura. That pair of ice-cold eyes had turned into a purple light. There were also mysterious talisman characters flickering around him. His gaze was as sharp as a sword, directly piercing through space. Those familiar with him knew that at this moment, Han Li was truly enraged. Many of the cultivators on the eldest prince's side felt their hearts wildly pound. It's over. It's been a long time since I've seen Han Li like this. The last time I saw him like this was during his battle with Jiang Nantian. That's right. When Han Li goes berserk, no one can stop him. Only Jiang Nantian could resist him. Apart from him, no one else had any chance of survival. When the eldest prince saw this, he let out a sigh. Previously, he had wanted Han Li to subdue him and take him in as a subordinate. But now, it seemed that this was impossible. This was because once Han Li went berserk, his opponent would definitely die. The spectating cultivators were also shocked. At this moment, Han Li was like a fiend god. They didn't dare to look directly at him. Bright Monarch Palm. In the sky, Han Li furiously roared and struck out with his palm. Suddenly, the sky boiled. A gigantic purple palm was formed rapidly. Like a tidal wave, it swept towards Lin Xian at high speed. Lin Xian's gaze was also resolute. He grasped the Nine Darkness Devil Sword and swung it. Suddenly, a terrifying sword light rushed forward. The Nine Darkness Devil Sword was incomparably mysterious. He too even guessed that this devil sword might have come from the terrifying underworld realm. It could be imagined that this devil sword was absolutely terrifying. Its grade wouldn't be lower than an Earth-grade treasure. Now that it was in Lin Xian's hands, it was incomparably powerful. Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul possessed fearsome offensive power. Although he was only a one-star king, his battle prowess wasn't inferior to any three-star king. Thus, this sword strike was extremely powerful. The black sword light and the purple palm collided, creating a resounding clang. The entire sky boiled. What? He blocked it again. Seeing that the bright monarch palm was useless, Han Li's expression turned gloomy. He didn't think that his opponent would be so powerful. However, he furiously roared and decided to attack with all his strength. Bright monarch move. Han Li furiously roared and purple light brightly shined from his body. In an instant, countless mysterious talisman characters revolved around him. Mysterious illusory figures appeared on his body. They were incomparably terrifying. In the next moment, his body blurred and he quickly charged towards Lin Xian like a bolt of purple lightning. Lin Xian's expression didn't change as he waved the 9 darkness devil sword in his hand. The power of 4,000 swords. At this moment he used the myriad sword art and brandished 4,000 swords. Suddenly, the wind and clouds above changed. 4 streaks of black lightning quickly formed. Each of the 4 streaks of lightning contained the power of 1,000 swords. It was incomparably terrifying. Chapter 1548. Rumble. The black thunderbolt was like a sword radiance, but it was also like a huge mountain. It quickly descended from the sky and shattered the entire void. In an instant, the sky became a black sea of lightning. The entire void was completely submerged, and Han Li bore the brunt of the endless sea of lightning. What a terrifying scene! When the crowd saw this, their expressions wildly changed. The reason for that was because they were able to clearly sense the berserk power brought forth by the lightning. It was simply too terrifying. When they encountered such power, they had no power to resist at all. Even Jiang Nantian wore a grave expression and his gaze wavered. Within the sea of lightning, Han Li roared towards the sky as his body flickered with purple light. However, his resistance was futile. This lightning was the result of the myriad sword art combined with the power of the great dragon sword soul. It was incomparably powerful. In an instant, the 4 purple demonic shadows he summoned were directly shattered by the sea of lightning. Not only that, but his body was also struck. When the black lightning struck his body, his chi and blood roiled and he couldn't stand steadily. However, as a peerless genius, he was powerful. He quickly summoned a purple armor to cover his body, resisting the black lightning that filled the sky. However, he was still blasted back continuously. Not only was he forced back, but his chi and blood roiled as he coughed up a mouthful of blood. This time, he suffered another loss in the exchange of blows. When the surrounding cultivators saw this, their expressions greatly changed. They didn't dare to believe their eyes. This was Han Li. He was the most dazzling genius of the Dashuan Empire's younger generation. But now, he was actually beaten to the point of vomiting blood. Just how powerful was that youth called Lin Xian? They didn't dare to imagine. At this moment, even Princess Kai Dai, the first prince, the third prince, and the others had extremely grave expressions. Jiang Nantian stood up abruptly. His eyes shone with a terrifying light as he stared at the sky. He had fought with Han Li many times and was well aware of his opponent's strength. Even he wouldn't be able to injure him so easily. Han Li was trembling with anger. His opponent's strength had shocked him greatly, but he couldn't accept that he had been injured. Therefore, in the next moment, he roared angrily again and performed a powerful divine ability martial art. Immovable Wisdom Monarch. Han Li continuously waved his hand, causing the purple light on his body to become even more dazzling. A purple silhouette formed behind him and emitted a mysterious power. Kill! In the next moment he roared and quickly charged towards Lin Xian. This time he was truly enraged. He was determined to kill Lin Xian. 3 heads 6 arms. When Han Li arrived in front of Lin Xian, Han Li once more, the purple silhouette took a step forward and fused with him. Instantly, 2 more heads and 4 more arms appeared on both sides of him. Han Li's body was extremely strange. With 3 heads and 6 arms, there were no blind spots at all. Furthermore, the 2 arms that were formed were holding sabers, swords, and spears. At this moment, Han Li's aura. Qiong Qi, Tianpeng, Dijiang, Din, Nine Yin. They were all ancient divine beasts. Although it was only a manifestation of spiritual power, it was as strong as a real divine beast and was extremely powerful. The 2 forces collided in the air, erupting with resplendent light. The sky boiled as a vast amount of energy surged into the distance. After several tens of moves, Lin Xian suddenly pointed with his left hand. 3 void-shattering fingers quickly flew out in an extremely strange manner. The void-shattering fingers were traceless and capable of destroying everything. Now that Lin Xian was using it, it was even more unfathomable. 2 of the void-shattering fingers pierced through the 2 purple silhouettes at Han Li's side. As for the third, Han Li dodged it. But even so, it had achieved an extraordinary result. This was because it had broken through Han Li's immovable wisdom monarch. The 3 heads and 6 arms quickly disappeared. Han Li's face was pale. This was because his divine ability had been broken, and he had also suffered a certain amount of backlash. What? It was broken again? Everyone felt their scalps go numb. They didn't dare to believe this. From the beginning of the battle until now, Han Li had been suppressed by his opponent. Every time he used a powerful divine ability, it was quickly broken through by his opponent. It was as if his opponent had a natural advantage over him. They knew that if this happened once, it could be due to luck. But if it happened multiple times, it couldn't be explained by luck. This meant that his opponent was incomparably powerful. It was even possible that his battle prowess surpassed Han Li's. With that thought, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. At that moment, Lin Xian coldly said, "You've already lost. Let's switch." Everyone fell silent. Indeed, Han Li had been sent flying 3 times. This meant that his opponent was extremely powerful. However, they were unable to accept this reality. As for Han Li, he couldn't accept it. He angrily roared, "Don't be so arrogant. I was careless and didn't use my king's domain. Brat, my true techniques are all in my king's domain. Now, I will kill you with my own hands." With that said, he angrily roared. His eyes blossomed with incomparably resplendent light. They were like 2 streaks of light that tore through the sky. "Behold my king's domain, death's door." Along with this voice, purple light quickly flashed from Han Li's body. A purple domain instantly enveloped him. Within the purple domain, purple chi roiled. It was incomparably mysterious. A 10-meter-tall purple gate appeared out of thin air. It floated in the air. The gate was engraved with mysterious veined patterns that emitted an ancient aura. Death's door. When everyone saw this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. As for the 3rd prince, the eldest prince, and Princess Kai Dai, they suddenly stood up. Their expressions were filled with shock. That's right, Han Li's king's domain was the Death's Door. However, he was normally very powerful and rarely used his king's domain in battle. As a result, they rarely saw it. They didn't expect that they would see it in battle today. The Death's Door was one of the most powerful king's domains in the Dashuan Empire. Princess Kai Dai's expression was grave. She knew that things were troublesome because she was well aware of how terrifying the Death's Door was. The Death's Door was created by a cultivation art. It was extremely famous in the Dashuan Empire. However, it was extremely difficult to cultivate. In the past several thousand years, only 3 or 4 people had successfully cultivated it. Han Li was one of them. On the other side, the 3rd prince frowned. His subordinate, Jiang Nantian, was extremely powerful. However, he was unable to completely defeat Han Li because of the Death's Door. The eldest prince smiled. Since he used the Death's Door, that brat will definitely not win. Chapter 1549. The Gate of Death was extremely terrifying. It was said that when the gate opened, no one would be able to survive. No one knew what was behind the Gate of Death. However, some said that it could be connected to the underworld or hell. Regardless, there was no doubt that the Gate of Death was extremely frightening. Han Li stood near the Gate of Death with an indifferent expression. "Brat, you should be proud of yourself for forcing me to use this move. However, since you've angered me, you won't be able to survive. Now go to hell." With that said, he waved his hand and spoke in a deep voice. Death Soundwave. Following Han Li's voice, the purple Gate of Death blossomed with light. Purple devilish patterns appeared on its surface. The purple demonic runes vibrated rapidly, forming waves of death waves that spread out rapidly. These sound waves were too terrifying. They were tangible and specialized in damaging one's soul. It was extremely strange and impossible to guard against. There were a few unlucky ones in the crowd that were swept by the sound waves and fell to the ground. They weren't injured, but their auras had been completely extinguished. How terrifying! When the others saw this, they all retreated in fear. Fortunately, the majority of the sound waves were madly sweeping towards Lin Xian. Damn, this is a soul attack. That brat Lin definitely won't be able to withstand it. Of course. That brat's battle prowess is already so great. His soul power can't possibly be that outstanding. After all, a person's energy is limited. He can't take on everything. It seems he's finished this time. That's right. I didn't expect Han Li to be so powerful. His gate of death released a wave of death that specialized in destroying souls. I'm afraid there aren't many people who can withstand such an attack. As the crowd discussed this, they nervously looked towards the sky. In the sky, Lin Xian wore a grave expression. Ever since he had come out of the gate of death, he had felt his hair stand on end. Han Li's king's domain was truly too strange. He had never seen it before. However, he possessed the great dragon sword soul. Even in this strange domain, he didn't fear it. Thus, when he saw the other party unleashing the death sound wave that specialized in destroying souls, he immediately harumphed coldly. Others might not have so much energy to cultivate both combat strength and soul force at the same time, but he was different. Previously, after cultivating the sky spill visualization diagram, his soul power had become extremely strong. He was definitely not inferior to a 3-star king. Moreover, the great dragon sword spirit was an offensive saint spell between heaven and earth that could destroy everything. This kind of strength was not only reflected in battle, but also in soul force. It was even enough to destroy those illusory things. Therefore, although this death sound wave was terrifying, and to the majority of martial artists, it was a sure-kill divine ability ultimate skill. However, it had no effect on him. Dragon King roar. In the next moment, Lin Xian let out a cold shout. His soul force combined with the great dragon sword soul and quickly released a sound wave attack. This sound wave was extremely terrifying. The Buddha true dragon roared, its voice shaking the heavens and earth. Boom! The Dragon King's roar collided with the death sound wave, producing a violent collision sound. It was as if swords and sabers had clashed against each other, causing countless black cracks to appear in the void. Explode! 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 The sky exploded with a bang, and flickering black holes appeared one after another. Fortunately, they were fighting in the sky. Otherwise, the entire Misty Wave Mountain Manor would have been impacted even with the defensive formation. What? He blocked it? This is impossible. Han Li's expression greatly changed. He didn't dare to imagine that his opponent was actually able to block his death sound wave. One had to know that his death sound wave wasn't an ordinary sound wave. Ordinary sound waves only cause damage to the body. However, his death sound wave not only caused damage to the body, but it also attacked one's soul power. This kind of combined damage was the most terrifying. Ordinary martial artists were completely unable to defend against it. Only if they had a treasure of the soul would they be spared. Jiang Nantian had such a treasure in his hands, which was why he was able to fight him to a draw. As for the others, none of them were a match for him. But now, his opponent had also used a sound wave martial art to block his death sound wave. This greatly surprised him. The others were even more shocked and didn't dare to believe it. They originally thought that Lin Xian was dead for sure. No one could resist this sound wave. However, the current situation was beyond their expectations. The other party used a roar to directly block the death sound wave. That terrifying sound even caused their auras to surge and their bodies to nearly split apart. Damn it, what kind of martial art is this? It's actually so terrifying? No way, how can his soul power be so strong? Fuck, where did this kid appear from? Why is he like a freak? Isn't this combat strength too terrifying? Exclamations sounded one after another. As for Princess Kai Dai, Chu Yu, Jade Beauty, Bai Yuran, and the others, they all heaved a sigh of relief. The fact that Lin Xian was fine was undoubtedly the best news for them. Buzz buzz. The two sound waves collided and finally disappeared at the same time. The crack in the sky also quickly healed. However, Han Li's expression was extremely ugly. Previously, he had vowed that his opponent was dead for sure. But now, his opponent actually broke through his death sound wave. This was intolerable. Since you're done attacking, it's my turn to attack. Lin Xian said coldly. Then, he waved his hand. and the dragon sword domain suddenly appeared beside him. Myriad sword art, myriad sword heavenly attraction. Lin Xian once again used the myriad sword art. The dragon sword domain trembled, and countless sword chi quickly surged like sword spirits. Then, it soared into the sky. Suddenly, multicolored light filled the sky, and sword chi crisscrossed. The entire sky was completely filled with ruthless sword light. These sword chi were incomparably fast, and all of them blasted on the door of death, erupting into a shocking explosion. Ping ping. This attack was incomparably powerful, and it immediately caused the purple door of death to tremble. Even the light above it became dim. Damn it. Seeing that his door of death was damaged, Han Li's face also turned pale. He roared crazily, and his palms quickly changed seals. Door of death, death ray, buzz. Suddenly, the purple door of death shone again. After that, the tightly shut door slowly opened, emitting kacha sounds. An incomparably terrifying aura was emitted from the crack in the door. That aura was too terrifying, and it made people feel despair. The death sound wave previously was only emitted from the door, and the door did not open. And now, the purple door of death had opened. What kind of terrifying energy would it display? No one dared to imagine. Chapter 1550. Along with Han Li's voice, a purple ray of light quickly condensed in the crack of the door and blasted forward. Boom! A purple ray of light instantly tore through the sky like a furious dragon. Wherever it passed, the sky was quickly shattered. Everyone felt their scalps go numb and their expressions were filled with horror. This attack was far too terrifying. It was capable of instantly killing any 3-star monarch. They didn't expect the death ray to possess such terrifying power. Even Lin Xian's pupils shrank abruptly. The purple death ray was extremely sharp and quickly arrived in front of Lin Xian. Lin Xian let out a low shout and activated the dragon sword domain. The dragon sword domain immediately trembled and countless strands of sword chi quickly condensed, forming 2 wings that quickly enveloped Lin Xian. The 2 wings were completely condensed from sword chi, and when they closed, they covered the sky and protected Lin Xian. Boom! In the next moment, the death ray collided with the sword chi wings and violently clashed. Clouds and mist surged and waves of chi surged. It was as if 2 mountains had collided in the sky, creating a deafening sound. The death ray was extremely terrifying and could kill a 3-star monarch. However, when it collided with the sword chi wings, it lost its effect. Although the entire space shook violently, the death ray wasn't able to break through the 2 azure wings. What? How is this possible? Looking at the scene in front of him, Han Li widened his eyes in disbelief. That was the death ray that he was extremely proud of. It could kill any 3-star monarch. But now, it was unable to break through his opponent's defenses. This was simply too unbelievable. The gigantic wings of sword chi flapped and slowly opened up, revealing the situation inside. Lin Xian's clothes fluttered in the wind and his expression was calm. He hadn't suffered any injuries. In the next moment, his gaze focused and his body released an extremely terrifying aura. Then, he soared into the sky with the dragon sword domain and charged forward. What? Han Li's pupils contracted and a sense of fear welled up in his heart. However, he still summoned up his courage and roared, "Doors of death, completely open." As his voice fell, the spiritual energy in his body burned fiercely, and a terrifying energy ran through his body. Because with his current cultivation and strength, he was still unable to completely open the door of death. However, at this moment, he was burning his spiritual energy to stimulate his body's potential. He wanted to open the door of death ahead of time to kill his opponent. The gate of death was incomparably terrifying. It was his strongest move. At this moment, he was willing to use all of his strength to open the gate of death. Ka-ka-ka. Boom. 2 deep sounds rang out, and the door of death slowly opened, revealing a pitch-black darkness. No one knew where the door led to, but the energy emitted from it was too terrifying. Even those of the older generation had expressions of despair on their faces. Die! Han Li burned every inch of power within his body, and his entire body erupted with dazzling light. The gates of death were fully opened, emitting a terrifying suction force that instantly enveloped Lin Xian. Then, the devouring power pulled Lin Xian into the door of death. Lin Xian's figure entered the door of death and disappeared. The entire sky regained its clarity once again. It was quiet, without a trace of sound. What's going on? What happened? Everyone's eyes widened. That Lin Xian was sucked into the door of death? He really went in? This is the first time I've seen such a strange situation. Everyone was shocked and didn't dare to believe it. Even Princess Kai Dai, the third prince, and the others frowned. Han Li faced the sky and laughed. "Ha, brat, no matter how strong you are, you won't be able to come out after entering the door of death. From today onwards, you can go to hell for me." His voice was filled with arrogance and pride. In his opinion, Lin Xian was an extremely powerful enemy. But so what if he was powerful? Wasn't he still killed by him? What? Entering the door of death is the same as entering hell. That brat won't be able to come back. Rumor has it that the door of death is connected to an incomparably mysterious world. Now it seems that it is true. Everyone was discussing spiritedly. They knew that the battle was over. Lin Xian had entered the door of death and wouldn't be able to come out. Seeing this scene, Han Kuan, the Firecloud Nation youth, and the other martial artists all sighed. As for Jade Beauty, Bai Yuran, and the others, their faces were pale. Princess Kai Dai also sighed, and her eyes seemed to have lost their luster. She was indeed quite sad because Lin Xian's strength could have pushed her to the first tier. But now that he had entered the incomparably mysterious door of death, it was likely that he wouldn't be able to come out in this lifetime. At the side, Jiang Nanshan's expression was solemn as he whispered to himself, "Is it over? He's still lost." It seems that the door of death is indeed incomparably strange. In the sky, Han Li laughed wildly once again. Then he swept his gaze and stared at Jiang Nantian as he coldly shouted, "Jiang Nantian, come up. I'm going to finish you off together." This voice was filled with endless domineering aura. When the surrounding people heard this, their scalps went numb. What? He still wants to fight? This Han Li is too powerful. He just fought the powerful Lin Xian, and now he wants to fight Jiang Nantian? When Jiang Nantian heard this, he slightly shook his head. "No, you just finished a great battle and must have consumed a lot of energy. Why don't we wait for you to recover before we fight?" He decisively refused. In the sky, Han Li tightly frowned. Because he had previously completely opened the door of death, he had burned a lot of spiritual power, so he wanted to take advantage of this power to quickly finish off Jiang Nantian. But he didn't expect that Jiang Nantian wouldn't be fooled and wouldn't fight him. This caused him to feel anxious. Because when the power he activated disappeared, he feared that he would enter a period of weakness for a period of time. When that time came, he would be no match for Jiang Nantian. What? You don't dare to fight? Could it be that you're afraid? Han Li sneered. "It doesn't matter. As long as you say that you've lost to me, I won't fight you." However, Jiang Nantian still slightly shook his head. "I'm not afraid of you. I just don't want to take advantage of you. Let's fight later." As an expert, he naturally saw Han Li's current state at a glance. If he went up to fight Han Li now, he would undoubtedly be courting death. He wasn't that foolish. Han Li coldly laughed. "It's not up to you now." With that said, his figure blurred and he quickly charged towards Jiang Nantian. Regardless of whether Jiang Nantian was willing or not, he was going to suck him into the door of death. Chapter 1551. Regardless of whether Jiang Nantian was willing or not, he was going to suck him into the door of death. That way, no one would be his match. Everyone was shocked by this scene and couldn't understand. However, they soon came to a realization. They discovered that the door of death in the sky was slowly closing. The terrifying aura was also gradually weakening. It seemed that Han Li had activated the energy and the time was up. Han Li naturally knew this, so he couldn't help but speed up. But in the next moment, he was stunned. That was because the gate of death behind them had stopped halfway through its closing. There was a large patch of pitch-black darkness in the crack of the door. But in the boundless darkness, a deep sound could be heard. Boom, boom, boom. The sound was very deep, as if someone was beating a drum. What is that sound? Where is it coming from? Could it be that someone is still fighting? Everyone was puzzled. When Hanli looked behind him, his expression greatly changed. Not good. His expression became extremely unsightly because he discovered that the sound was coming from the door of death. But why was there movement coming from the door of death? This kind of abnormal change had never happened before. Could it be that brat? Hanli was bewildered, but apart from this, he had no other explanation. Furthermore, the others seemed to have discovered this scene and began to make guesses. Could it be Lin Xian's movement? It can't be. Didn't they say that the door of death was connected to the netherworld? Once one entered, they would be forever suppressed in hell? How could it come out? But only Lin Xian entered the door of death. If it wasn't him, who else could it be? For a moment, everyone was discussing spiritedly as they carefully looked at the sky. Han Li's gaze was gloomy as he coldly snorted and once again released a terrifying attack, adding it to the door of death and sealing it. Humph, no matter who you are, you won't be able to break through my door of death. Once you enter, you'll stay there forever. He quickly formed hand seals and formed a powerful seal on the door of death that emitted a resplendent light. However, the sound of the collision became more and more intense. At first, it sounded like a drum, but now it sounded like thunder exploding in the sky, causing everyone's scalps to tingle. Boom, crack, crack. Finally, the sound became more and more intense, and finally, a black crack appeared in the sky. The seal on the gate of death instantly shattered. A huge black hole formed above the death's gate. Then a figure flew out quickly. Lin Xian, it's Lin Xian. What? Did that kid really come out? How is this possible? He actually managed to come out of the door of death? Heavens! Is he still human? Everyone cried out in alarm, not daring to believe it. The figure in the sky was Lin Xian. He and his powerful strength had broken through the energy of the door of death and returned to reality. At this moment, the shadow of an azure dragon appeared beneath his feet. Sword chi flickered on his body. The demonic sword in his hand bloomed with a strange light, and his entire person became extremely sharp. What? It's you. How is that possible? How did you break through my door of death? When Han Li saw him, his expression greatly changed and his heart was greatly shaken. To tell the truth, he was truly shocked. This was because no one had ever been able to escape from his door of death. Furthermore, he believed that no one had ever been able to escape. But now, someone had truly come out. He didn't dare to believe this scene. In the sky, Lin Xian's gaze was cold. The door of death is truly not bad. It's the most powerful domain I've ever seen. However, it's still unable to trap me. Now, the battle is over. With that said, his body blurred and he held the 9 underworld devil sword in his hand. He turned into a streak of resplendent dragon-shaped sword chi and quickly attacked Han Li. This sword strike was truly terrifying. The sword light was like a sea, instantly illuminating the entire sky. He was like a huge dragon as he rampaged through the sky. His aura was tyrannical to the extreme. When he felt this aura, Lin Xian felt his scalp go numb. He didn't hesitate and recalled the door of death to defend himself. Suddenly, a mysterious purple gate appeared in front of him, emitting a strange aura. It was as if it was connected to hell. Boom! In the next moment, the two collided. Light erupted and heaven and earth trembled. The door of death was directly shattered and disappeared into thin air. As for Han Li, he was sent flying and spat out a mouthful of blood. It was unknown how many of his bones had been broken. When everyone saw this scene, they were all stupefied. They didn't expect that the previously incomparably powerful Han Li would actually be defeated. Plop. Han Li's body fiercely fell to the ground and fainted. The surrounding people all sank into deep shock and were speechless. After a long time, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, their eyes filled with shock. The most dazzling of the Dashuan Empire's younger generation, Han Li, had actually been defeated. And Lin Xian's valiance caused everyone to be endlessly shocked. This battle wasn't a matter of luck, but a true battle of strength. Han Li's strength was very strong and could suppress the younger generation, but Lin Xian's strength was even stronger. Even Han Li wasn't his match. Haha. As expected, he won. I've struck it rich this time. Fatty Luo clapped his hands. He had bet on Lin Xian's victory and would definitely make a fortune. At the side, the gambling youth widened his eyes in disbelief. Damn, this is a truly ferocious person. Fatty Luo, where did you find such a person? His eyes shined as if he had seen a rare treasure. He won, he really won. Han Kuan, the youth from the Fire Cloud Nation, Jade Beauty, Bai Yuran, and the others all widened their eyes in disbelief. On the other side, Princess Kaidai let out a sigh of relief, and a smile appeared on her exquisite face. Chu Yu was also extremely shocked, and then he frowned. Who knew what kind of storm such a person would cause if he entered the pill sect? On the other side, the eldest prince's expression was malevolent. He didn't expect that his strongest subordinate, Han Li, would be defeated. He couldn't accept this. Damn it, how is this possible? Who is he? How could he defeat Han Li? The eldest prince raised his head and looked at the sky, a cold light blossoming from his eyes. Lin Xian, on the other hand, ignored the first prince and looked in another direction. Jiang Nentian, it's your turn. What, he still wants to fight? Hearing this, everyone felt their scalps go numb. They didn't expect that Lin Xian would face Jiang Nentian so quickly. Immediately, everyone became excited again because they wanted to know if Lin Xian could defeat Jiang Nentian again. Jiang Nentian also took a deep breath, and his expression was extremely grave. It was clear that the previous battle had left him extremely shaken. Not only that, but he also discovered that he couldn't block the last move. When he heard his opponent's voice, his expression became even more grave, but in the end he sighed. Chapter 1552. After saying this, his entire body seemed to have lost its luster. As a peerless genius, he had his own pride. But now, he discovered that he couldn't defeat his opponent. Even if he attacked, he would suffer the same fate as Han Li. He would be seriously injured, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Rather than that, he might as well admit defeat. When the surrounding people heard this, their scalps went numb. They didn't dare to believe it. They didn't expect that Jiang Nentian would directly admit defeat. This was even more shocking than Han Li's defeat. One had to know that Jiang Nentian was a peerless genius. Such a person definitely had a stronger self-esteem than ordinary people. But now, his opponent actually admitted defeat. This meant that he had absolutely no confidence in front of Lin Shui. Perhaps not even the slightest bit. Otherwise, it was absolutely impossible for him to admit defeat. Thinking of this, everyone was extremely shocked. Just how strong was Lin Xian? He directly made a genius of the Dashuan Empire admit defeat. This was definitely something that only happened once in 1,000 years. Alright, since it's like this, I won't make things difficult for you. Lin Xian nodded. Then, he restrained his aura and quickly floated down. Since the opponent admitted defeat, there was no need for him to fight with him. Moreover, he had already achieved his goal this time. Presumably, Chu Yu would be able to recommend him to enter the pill sect. Lin Xian didn't go to Princess Kaidai. Instead, he found a quiet place and sat cross-legged. Next, the competition continued. The martial artists under the various princesses and princes sparred. However, there was no match that was as exciting as Lin Xian and Han Li's dishes. Finally, all the battles ended. Princess Kaidai got her wish and entered the first echelon. Although the martial arts assembly had ended and the princesses and princes had left, the martial artists didn't leave. Because there was still a grand banquet waiting for them. Lin Xian stood up and prepared to leave. However, at this moment, a beautiful maid quickly came in front of him and respectfully said, "Young master, my princess invites you." Lin Xian nodded slightly. He naturally knew that this was someone sent by Princess Kaidai. Therefore, he didn't decline and directly followed the other party. In a hall of the Misty Wave Villa, Princess Kaidai, Chu Yu, and their subordinates were all gathered together. Everyone's face was filled with excitement, especially Princess Kaidai, who had a smile hanging on her beautiful face. Soon, they saw the beautiful maidservant bringing Lin Xian in. Immediately, everyone stood up. His subordinates were all nervous. After all, Lin Xian was an even more terrifying genius than Han Li. Being together with such a genius, they couldn't help but feel nervous and restrained. Princess Kai Dai smiled and said, "Young Master Lin, please sit." "All right." Lin Xian nodded, then sat down boldly. This time, Kai Dai was able to enter the first group. Many thanks to young Master Lin's help. "It's nothing. I merely made an exchange with Fairy Chuyu. It's only natural for me to act," Lin Xian said indifferently. He then glanced at Chuyu and said, "Since I've already done it, I hope you won't forget your promise. Don't worry, I can definitely let you enter the pill sect. However, it's hard to say what kind of identity you'll have. But with your strength, you should be able to quickly climb up," Chuyu said. At that moment, Princess Kai Dai asked, "Why does young Master Lin want to join the pill sect? Why not join my Dashuan Empire? The Rainbow Disc will definitely treat you with the highest respect." In truth, the Dashuan Empire and the pill sect were equal in strength. This was why she was so confident in keeping Lin Xian. "Many thanks for Princess's good intentions, but I've already decided to join the pill sect." Lin Xian shook his head and refused. In truth, if it weren't for King Pillfeather's wish, Lin Xian wouldn't have joined the pill sect. He would have joined a holy land. Thus, he wouldn't join the Dashuan Empire. Seeing Lin Xian refuse so decisively, Princess Kai Dai was disappointed. However, she said, "Men, bring out the gift I've prepared." Very quickly, a warrior in black armor walked over with a wooden box. The wooden box was a foot tall and had exquisite carvings on it. It was obvious that it was made of high-quality wood. "What is this?" Everyone was puzzled. Even Lin Xian was curious. Princess Kai Dai smiled and said, "Open it." When she said that, her eyes shone brightly. Clearly, she was very confident in her gift. When the black-armored martial artist heard the order, he immediately opened the square box. There was a Buddha statue inside. The carvings were vivid and lifelike. However, there were 3 sword scars on the statue. "This is?" Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He wasn't unfamiliar with this gift. He'd seen it before in the Tianwu continent. However, compared to the sword scars now, they paled in comparison. The sword scars on the Buddha statue must have been left by a peerless swordsman. That was because the remnant aura made his heart palpitate. Moreover, not only was the aura sharp, the sword scars seemed to contain a very mysterious energy. At this time, Princess Kai Dai said, "I paid a great price to collect this Buddha statue. The 3 sword scars on it are very mysterious and ever-changing. If you can understand it, it'll be a great fortune for a swordsman. I've been reluctant to take it out before. Today, I'll give it to young Master Lin." Hearing that, the surrounding warriors sucked in a breath of cold air. Their eyes were filled with envy. They weren't weak. Naturally, they could feel the mysterious energy contained in the sword scars. It could be said that this was a priceless treasure. However, they could only envy. There was nothing else they could do, because they couldn't get such a treasure. Perhaps if it were someone else, they wouldn't be able to get it either. Perhaps only Lin Xian could make Princess Kai Dai give such a treasure. As for Lin Xian, he took a deep breath. The reason for that was because those 3 sword scars were extremely useful to him. So in the next moment, he quickly nodded. "In that case, I won't be polite. However, I still won't stay here. But I can help you one more time. No matter what, no matter who the enemy is, I can help you once. But there's only one chance. I hope you'll take it seriously." "Really?" Hearing that, Princess Kai Dai was excited. "Thank you, young Master Lin." To be honest, she was very disappointed. Because even after giving away the Buddha statue, she didn't keep Lin Xian. Chapter 1553. No matter what kind of enemy she faced, Lin Xian would help her at least once. This was a very precious condition. One had to know that Lin Xian was already very strong, and from the looks of it, he was only in his 20s. His future achievements could be said to be limitless. With such a person agreeing to help her, no matter how big of a problem she encountered in the future, he would be able to solve it. Then Kai-Dai would like to thank young Master Lin. You're welcome. Lin Xian nodded, then put away the Buddha statue. Then he turned to look at Chuyu. Chuyu naturally knew what he meant, so she said, I might stay here for a few more days. If you have nothing else to do, you can stay here for a few days too. Once we're done here, I'll take you to the pill sect. Alright, in that case, I won't disturb you. Lin Xian stood up. Xiao Shui, take young Master Lin to the courtyard to rest. The beautiful servant girl from before led Lin Xian away again. In the next few days, Lin Xian stayed in Yamba Mountain Villa. However, he did not attend any banquets. Instead, he went into seclusion to study the 3 sword scars on the Buddha statue. The 3 sword scars were indeed very profound, containing the supreme sword Tao. Even Lin Xian could not fully comprehend them in such a short time. However, with every bit he comprehended, his understanding of the sword Tao deepened greatly. Combined with his past battle experience, he created 3 sword moves based on the 3 sword scars. The first move, Azure Dragon Break. This was a very powerful move. The second move, Underworld Waning Moon Break. This move not only incorporated the power of the sword scars, but also the characteristics of Death's Door. To be more precise, Death's Door had inspired him to use this move. This was because he had been sucked into a very special space by Death's Door. If not for his great dragon sword soul, he would not have been able to return at all. Therefore, he had a lot of understanding of this move. Therefore, the second move used powerful sword energy to shatter the stars and send the enemy into an unknown space for exile. The third move, Mirror Still Water. This was a defensive sword technique that could increase the defense of the dragon sword domain. These 3 moves were created by Lin Xian by combining his own strength and the comprehension of the 3 sword scars. They were very suitable. Its power was also extraordinary, and it was definitely not inferior to an Earth-tier martial skill. When he created these 3 moves, the banquet in the Yanba Mountain Villa also ended. Because 5 days had passed, the banquet in Chang and would eventually come to an end. And on this day, Chuyu finally came to find him. Let's go. All right. Lin Xian did not hesitate in the slightest and directly left Misty Wave Mountain Villa with Chuyu. Sky Martial Continent, War God Palace. At this moment, the Lin family had already integrated into the Palace of Gods of War and started their new lives. As for the Palace of Gods of Ares, other than operating normally, it would also pay attention to the situation in Wanling Valley because that was where Lin Zhan was in seclusion. On this day, the myriad spirit valleys suddenly shone with incomparable light, like a rainbow shining in the sky. This scene startled everyone in the Palace of Ares. Countless elders rushed over and were very shocked. Could it be that the palace master had come out of seclusion? As expected, the myriad spirit valley slowly opened, and a crack appeared on the defensive array outside. Then 2 figures walked out from inside. The person in front was a middle-aged man. He walked with majestic steps, and his gaze was dignified with a righteous aura. He was Lin Zhan. And beside him was a dignified and beautiful middle-aged woman. She was Lin Zhan's wife and also Lin Xian's mother. Their appearance caused a commotion in the Palace of Gods of War. Not only that, but old Master Lin and the others also rushed over excitedly. Soon, the group was reunited. However, Lin Zhan would not stay for long this time. He quickly arranged a few backup plans and was about to leave the Sky Martial Continent. 2 of the most important things were that he had raised Old Master Lin and second Uncle Lin's cultivation. It allowed them to enter the half-step king realm directly. Moreover, he had left behind a large number of natural treasures to ensure that they could become true kings. Other than that, he had also left behind a clone. He had spent a lot of effort in refining this clone. It was a lot stronger than his previous clone. Its strength was about the same as the heavenly Netherbird. With this clone's protection, no one would be able to touch the Lin family. After doing all this, Lin Zhan brought his wife and left the Sky Martial Continent. With a wave of his hand, a jet-black spirit boat appeared. Then, the 2 of them boarded the spirit boat and turned into a black bolt of lightning as they charged into the endless sea. The alchemy sect was a sect that focused on alchemists. Its status could be said to be one of the top sects besides the clan of the ancients and the peerless sacred grounds. Its location was not in the Dashuan Empire, but it was not far away. Of course, it was not far away. Even for kings like Lin Xian and Chu Yu, it still took them a total of 7 days to fly. Along the way, Lin Xian looked around at the scenery of the mountains and was shocked. As expected of the eastern wilderness, a true great world. The mountains and rivers here were very magnificent. The mountains were majestic and connected together as if countless huge dragons were lying on the ground. The river surged and the water surged, producing thunderous sounds. The spiritual qi here was even denser than in the sky martial continent. Of course, not only was the spiritual qi abundant, but there were also many dangers. During this period, Lin Xian had seen more than one king demonic beast. There was even one time that he felt a great pressure. It was an unknown demonic beast. It was very huge. When it spread its wings, it covered the sky like a dark cloud. It had a terrifying and overwhelming aura. Luckily, Lin Xian and Chu Yu were not ordinary people. The two of them hid their auras and hid in the cave below. That was how they managed to escape. According to Chu Yu, this was a very terrifying king demonic beast. If one met it head-on, there was no chance of survival. Of course, this was not the strongest king demonic beast. It was said that some of the peerless king demonic beasts were very terrifying. They could destroy a country with a raise of their hand. That was terrifying. Of course, that kind of terrifying existence usually did not come out. Moreover, on the human side, there were the great sage lands and the clan of the ancients. They would not allow that kind of demonic beast to harm the human world. 7 days later, Chu Yu and Lin Xian arrived near a mountain range. If we continue forward, we will reach the alchemy sect. Chu Yu looked at the majestic mountain range and said with a smile, "Wait in the city at the foot of the mountain. I will go back and arrange for you to enter the sect. However, let me say this first. With my strength, I can only allow you to enter as an ordinary disciple. I can't allow you to enter any higher." Chapter 1554. Ordinary Disciples? Lin Xian's gaze flickered. That's enough. As long as he could enter the pill sect, Lin Xian would be satisfied. After all, he had come with a mission. He didn't know much about King Pillfeather, nor did he know much about the 10,000 Beast Cauldron. The 10,000 Beast Cauldron had only been obtained after King Pillfeather had left the pill sect. So what had happened to King Pillfeather in the pill sect? Why had he been killed on the Martial Heaven continent? Lin Xian would have to find out all of this himself. Chu Yu flew directly toward the pill sect. As for Lin Xian, he went to a city near the center of the pill sect to wait. Lin Xian transformed into a streak of sword light that shot through the air. However, he was extremely shocked inside. There were hundreds of cities near the pill sect. They were densely packed together. It was like a small country. And this was just the outer region of the pill sect. In the depths of the mountain range, there were palaces and waterfalls. It was a celestial scene. Lin Xian withdrew his aura and quickly landed in a nearby city. He found an inn to rest in. The next day he received a letter from Chu Yu. The matter had already been settled. Chu Yu had given him 2 choices. The first was to join the pill sect as a cultivator and be responsible for the sect's safety. His starting position was decent, but his final position wouldn't be too high. The second choice was to join the sect as an alchemist. However, this choice required Lin Xian to undergo a test. He would only be able to join after passing the test. Lin Xian didn't hesitate. He chose the second choice. After all, he wanted to see just how miraculous the pill sect's alchemy techniques were. He was also an alchemist, and he had never stopped cultivating alchemy. At this moment, his alchemy skills had already reached the Grandmaster realm. He could refine profound pills that surpassed the 9th rank. Only such profound pills were useful to King Realm cultivators. As for pills below the profound pill, even if they were 9th rank pills, they had very little effect on King Realm cultivators. Other than the letter, there was also a medallion. It was the one Lin Xian used to enter the pill sect. With the token in hand, Lin Xian left the inn. The alchemy sect was incomparably brilliant. The mountain range was continuous, and one couldn't see the end of it. This was a behemoth. It was a very powerful existence below the clan of the ancients and the peerless Holy Lands. Ordinary people would not dare to come here and behave atrociously. Of course, for those alchemists who wanted to join the Pill sect, there were also special testing places. It was a valley at the foot of the mountain where dozens of palaces had been built. That place was used to test alchemists. When the alchemy sect recruited disciples, what they looked at was not your current strength, but your talent. This was because the level of one's talent determined how far one could go in the future. This was what the Pill sect valued the most. Of course, one must have a certain foundation. Moreover, those who could come to this alchemy sect to participate in the test were not ordinary people. However, no matter how extraordinary they were, they didn't dare to be impudent in front of the alchemy grandmaster. At that moment, a lot of people were gathered in the valley. They were all waiting silently. Among these people, there were 7 or 8-year-old children, 15 or 16-year-old youths, and even 20-year-old youths. There were even some elderly people among them. In any case, there were people of all ages. They all harbored a sincere heart and wanted to join the alchemy sect. Lin Xian also arrived in front of the valley. However, he did not stop. Instead, he walked straight inside. This scene immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding martial artists. Many people even started whispering. Who is this guy? He actually doesn't know the rules and dares to enter directly? It looks like he should be a hothead. If he goes in like this, he'll definitely be killed directly. Hee, that's good too. With one less competitor, my chances of entering the alchemy sect will be a little higher. Saya. Every year, there are some hotheads who ignore the alchemy sect's rules and barge in directly. I remember that some time ago, there was a youth who was hooting here. He even wanted to use force to barge in. In the end, he was sent flying with a punch. The crowd discussed animatedly. Looking at Lin Xian, their eyes were filled with gloating expressions. And at this moment, an icy voice also came from inside the valley. Halt! For you! How dare you be so rude? The alchemy sect is not a place where you can casually enter. If you want to enter the alchemy sect, not only do you have to have talent, you also have to have opportunities. Kneel outside and wait. When your opportunity arrives, someone will naturally let you in. Along with the voice came a figure. This was a young man wearing a robe. His eyes were filled with arrogance as if he did not care about anyone. There was no helping it. These alchemy sect disciples did indeed have the right to be arrogant. This was because the alchemy sect was a colossus here. It was an absolutely transcendent existence. Even many surrounding countries had to submit to the alchemy sect. Behind the young man in the robe, there were countless figures flashing. Clearly, they were also disciples of the alchemy sect. As long as someone made a move, they would not hesitate to attack and kill. Lin Xian stopped in his tracks. His eyes narrowed. He took out the token and slowly said, "I'm here to participate in the test." The token was very simple. There was the word alchemy carved on it. There was a red glow on the surface, emitting a fiery aura. This was the alchemy sect's token. Outsiders could not fake it. When the young man in the robe saw the token, his body trembled. The arrogance on his face disappeared and was replaced with a hint of seriousness. He carefully took the token and said, "Wait here first. I'll go and report." With that, the young man in the robe entered the valley again. The surrounding people began to whisper. Some of them were even filled with shock. What's going on? He wasn't killed? Yeah, this isn't the alchemy sect style of doing things. Could it be? What other background does this kid have? The group of people discussed animatedly. They were very puzzled. However, not long after, the young man in the robe from before came out again. You must be Lin Xian. Follow me. You have the qualifications to join the alchemy sect. However, we still have to test your aptitude. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Chu Yu had already explained this to him. Therefore, he took a step forward and followed the young man in the robe in. Well, he went in. He actually went in. When the people behind saw this scene, their eyes widened. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian would be killed. They did not expect that he would be invited in. This was indeed beyond their expectations. Heavens, who is this kid? How could he enter the alchemy sect so easily? Look at the token he took out earlier. It should be the token of the alchemy sect. This kid's background is definitely not simple. Chapter 1555. The valley wasn't large, but it was surrounded by palaces. Furthermore, there were quite a few spirit medicines growing inside. Many of them didn't exist in the Tianwu continent. However, Lin Xian recognized them. This was because he had the inheritance of Wine Lord and King Pillfeather. Thus, he had a very precise grasp of medicinal herbs. There were basically no herbs that he didn't recognize. Soon he entered a palace. This palace had a total of 6 floors. Each floor was filled with books. Lin Xian glanced at them and found that most of them were books on the Tao of alchemy. There were recipes, identification of medicinal herbs, and medicinal effects. There were also flames, pill furnaces, and so on. In short, almost everything related to pills was here. It could be said that this place was filled with knowledge. Finally, Lin Xian followed the pill-robed youth to the 5th floor. There was a middle-aged man sitting there. At this moment, he was holding an ancient book in his hand and carefully reading it. The book was slightly yellowed, and the pages were somewhat curly. It was obvious that it had been flipped through countless times. However, at this moment, the middle-aged man was holding it in his hand as if it were a treasure. Lin Xian looked ahead and was slightly surprised. This was because the flame aura on this person's body was very strong. It even surpassed the blue sky flames and the mysterious flame in Han Li's hand. There was no need to think about it. The other party should have grasped an extremely terrifying flame. In addition, he also felt an extremely powerful soul power from the other party. Even he was shocked by this soul force. The other party was definitely an alchemist, and a very terrifying one at that. He didn't expect to see such a person as soon as he arrived at the pill sect. "Martial uncle, I've brought him," the pill-robed youth respectfully said. "Yes, I know," the middle-aged man indifferently said. However, he didn't immediately raise his head and continued to read the ancient book in his hand. The pill-robed youth respectfully withdrew, leaving only Lin Xian behind. After a while, the middle-aged man raised his head and closed the ancient book in his hand. With a wave of his hand, the ancient book floated to the side of the bookshelf. Then, he picked up the medallion on the table. His eyes flickered as he asked in a deep voice, "You are Lin Xian?" Lin Xian nodded. At this moment, he had already retracted his aura, making him look like an ordinary person. However, there was a very calm expression on his face. "Not bad. To be able to resist my pressure, it seems that your strength is definitely not ordinary. I heard about your situation from Chuyu. To be able to defeat Han Li, his battle prowess is truly astonishing. However, I'm very curious. If you were to enter the other sects, you would probably be treated very well. But why did you enter the pill sect?" At the end of his speech, his gaze became sharp, like 2 sharp swords that wanted to see through Lin Xian. On the other hand, Lin Xian was still as calm as ever. The great dragon sword soul within his body quickly revolved, offsetting this pressure. Other than being a cultivator, I'm also an alchemist. Naturally, I want to join the alchemy faction and learn more advanced alchemy techniques. An alchemist? The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes. To be honest, he couldn't believe that the other party was actually an alchemist. Prove it? Lin Xian nodded slightly. Then his soul power surged out. The middle-aged man was greatly shocked. He didn't expect that the other party's soul power would be so powerful. Not bad. Most people don't have such a powerful soul. Kid, it seems that your talent is quite good. The middle-aged man nodded and waved his hand. Suddenly, the wall in front of him flickered and quickly opened, revealing a painting. There were 2 yin-yang fishes, one white and one black. They fused together in a very profound manner. Look carefully. How many changes can you see? As the middle-aged man's voice fell, the yin-yang diagram on the painting began to quickly revolve. The black and white diagrams seemed to become black and white fishes that quickly swam away. 72. Lin Xian glanced at it and quickly said, "And now?" The middle-aged man asked again. The yin-yang fishes in front of him were moving faster and faster. 360 types. 1,800, 7,200. 12,000 types. When Lin Xian said this number, the middle-aged man was stunned. He didn't expect that the young man in front of him could see so many changes. The yin-yang diagram in front of him was a treasure of the alchemy faction. It was very strange. Although it didn't have much attack power, it could be used to test a martial artist's soul power. The yin-yang fishes had tens of thousands of changes. A martial artist could only use their soul power to capture the changes within. The stronger the soul power, the more changes one could capture. Generally speaking, seeing 3,600 changes was enough to enter the alchemy faction. If one could see more than 5,000 changes, they would be considered a decent genius. Even better ones could see 7,000 to 8,000 changes. As for those who could see more than 10,000 changes, they would be considered a genius. This kind of person's soul power was very high. It was impossible for ordinary martial artists to cultivate it, unless the other party had a cultivation method that specialized in soul power or consumed some heavenly treasure. It was even rarer to be able to see more than 12,000 changes as soon as they entered the sect. It could be said that there were very few people. Therefore, Lin Xian's soul power really shocked him. Your soul power isn't bad. What about your knowledge of spiritual herbs? The middle-aged man flicked his finger and 3 drops of liquid floated down from the sky. Can you tell what kind of spirit herbs these are made from? There are 42 types. There are purple spiral flowers, extreme spirit grass. Lin Xian listed them one by one, his expression very calm. This made the middle-aged man even more shocked. His spiritual liquids were all made from dozens to hundreds of spiritual herbs. Ordinary people couldn't tell at all. But this young man in front of him could quickly list them out as if he was familiar with them. Looks like he was indeed an alchemist. Very good, you pass. The middle-aged man was very satisfied. With your talent and current strength, you can ignore the outer sect disciples and directly become an inner sect disciple. Many thanks, Senior. Lin Xian also let out a sigh of relief. Okay, you can go to the inner sect to report now. The middle-aged man flipped his palm and took out a new token, handing it to Lin Xian. This is an identity token. Engrave your soul power on it. Don't lose it usually. Saying this, the middle-aged man sat down again. With a wave of his palm, the books on the bookshelf in the distance seemed to be held by a pair of invisible hands and floated over again. The middle-aged man ignored Lin Xian and continued to read the ancient books. As for Lin Xian, he took the new inner sect disciple token and left the hall. When he went out, he found that the red-robed young man from before was still waiting outside. Oh, how do I get to that door? Lin Xian asked. Inner sect. The red-robed young man heard this and suddenly raised his head. His eyes were full of shock. You entered the inner sect? Lin Xian nodded and then took out the token. Chapter 1556. What's wrong? Is there something wrong? Lin Xian asked curiously. Senior brother, you're new here. You don't know what being an inner sect disciple means. The young man explained quickly. His attitude changed quickly. He was even addressing Lin Xian as senior brother now. The disciples of the Pill sect are divided into outer sect disciples, inner sect disciples, and core disciples. There are also direct disciples. However, there are very few direct disciples. There are only a few of them. Furthermore, the sect master and the various elders no longer accept direct disciples. Therefore, direct disciples can be seen as special core disciples. From the outer sect to the inner sect, there's a threshold. Most of the outer sect disciples are free range and do some chores. They can be said to be the lowest level of the sect. But it's different for the inner sect disciples. They are already considered as the elites. They enjoy many resources and have the opportunity to listen to the teachings of the elders. You can say that their treatment has improved a lot. However, it's difficult to become an inner sect disciple. Every year, only a small number of outstanding outer sect disciples can become inner sect disciples. The competition is extremely intense. In fact, some people have been in the outer sect for more than 10 years and have yet to become inner sect disciples. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded his head. He finally knew why this young man before him had such an attitude. He became an inner sect disciple the moment he entered the sect. This starting point was far beyond everyone's imagination. Lin Xian nodded his head slightly. He then asked, "Then, what's up with the core disciples? Tell me more about it." Core disciples are the elites of the elites. It's even more difficult to become a core disciple from an inner sect disciple. In fact, some people have been in the inner sect for more than 100 years and still can't become a core disciple. Core disciples have a lot of power. They even have the right to kill. In fact, some of the more powerful core disciples are no weaker than some of the elders. It's just that they haven't contributed much to the sect, so they can't become elders. However, their strength is extremely terrifying. So that's the case. Lin Xian nodded his head, indicating that he understood. Seemed like the identity of an inner sect disciple wasn't safe after all. He had to get the identity of a core disciple as soon as possible. Only then would he be able to get in touch with the Pill sect. After all, King Pillplume was something from several hundred years ago. Ordinary disciples would never be able to come into contact with this kind of secret. Only those in the upper echelons would be able to obtain clues. The young man in the red robes led Lin Xian to the inner sect area, but didn't enter. He said to Lin Xian, "Senior brother, I'm just an outer sect disciple. I can't enter the inner sect. You'll have to rely on yourself from now on." Lin Xian nodded and entered the inner sect alone. However, Lin Xian did not fumble around on his own. After entering the inner sect, there were people specially assigned to guide him. Very quickly, he was assigned to an independent courtyard. Every inner disciple could enjoy a mobile independent courtyard as their own residence. From the conversation, Lin Xian also learned that the treatment of core disciples was even better. They could even occupy a mountain peak and use it as their own residence. Some powerful core disciples could even enslave outer sect disciples and order inner sect disciples to do things for them. It could be said that he had a lot of power. Lin Xian chose a courtyard and stayed there. He did not act immediately. Instead, he cultivated silently to accumulate his strength. Just like that, he stayed in the inner sect. On the other side, outside the alchemy faction, there was a test going on for the past few days. Countless outer sect disciples were trying their best to enter the inner sect. Among them, there was a beautiful young girl who also wanted to participate in the test. The young girl was beautiful, but her demeanor was a little arrogant. She raised her chin like a proud little princess. At that moment, there were many young men around her. "There are 10 spots to enter the inner sect this time. I'll definitely get one," the young girl said proudly. Of course. The surrounding warriors quickly flattered her. Beside her, there were a few arrogant disciples. They were also elites of the outer sect and were very confident of entering the inner sect. Among them, there was a young man in red robes. He looked at the young girl and smiled. "That's for sure. Sister Ting, when the time comes, we'll enter together. However, after entering the inner sect, you'll have to rely on your brother. When the time comes, don't forget about me." Hearing the compliments around her, the young girl called Fong Ting became even more proud. "Of course, don't worry, my brother is very powerful in the inner sect. After we enter, I'll ask him to take care of you." When the surrounding disciples heard this, they were envious. They knew that Fong Ting was very powerful. At such a young age, she had become a top outer sect disciple and was about to enter the inner sect. Not only that, she had an even more powerful brother who was in the inner sect. It could be said that no one dared to bully her. She would probably be a proud daughter of the heavens if she entered the inner sect. Everyone was discussing animatedly. However, at that moment, the results of the test were also out. Immediately, everyone stretched their necks and looked nervously. The young girl called Fong Ting also became nervous. To be honest, Although her talent was not bad, there were many people in the outer sect who were more talented and stronger than her. Therefore, she was not completely confident. However, when she saw that her name was ranked 10th, her delicate little face immediately revealed a proud smile. Although the ranking was slightly worse than she had imagined, she was still very satisfied, because she knew that there were only 10 spots to enter the inner sect this time. In other words, as long as one entered the top 10, they would definitely be able to enter the inner sect. Ha! That's great! I've finally entered the inner sect. Exclamations of surprise sounded one after another. Obviously, these were the top 10 disciples. Soon, an outer sect elder walked over quickly with a scroll in his hand. As for Fong Ting and the other top 10 disciples, they all had proud smiles on their faces as they quickly walked out and stood in front. They knew that it was time to announce the results. As expected, the outer sect elder slowly said, "Next, I will announce your candidates to enter the inner sect. Huangkai Xiaodong, Qin Feng." The outer sect elder read out 9 names in a row. They were all disciples ranked in the top 9. Fong Ting listened with a smug expression, but when it was her turn, she suddenly stopped. The outer sect elder slowly put away the scroll and said in a deep voice, "From today onwards, the 9 of you will be inner sect disciples. After entering the inner sect, you must cultivate well. You must not slack off." "Yes, disciple obeys." Qin Feng and the other 9 disciples nodded respectfully, while the surrounding crowd was in an uproar. What was going on? There were only 9 people. Why were there only 9? Chapter 1557. What's going on? There are only 9 people. Why are there only 9? Everyone was puzzled and puzzled. Fong Ting quickly said, "Elder, why didn't you read my name?" After the outer sect elder heard this, he said in a deep voice, "There are only 9 spots to enter the inner sect this time, so only the top 9 will be taken." 9? How is that possible? Fong Ting's face was anxious. Didn't we say that there were a total of 10 spots? Why is there one less? That's right, Elder. Weren't the spots already decided? Qin Feng, who had already become an inner sect disciple, was also puzzled. There were indeed 10 spots before, but a few days ago, a disciple came and joined our alchemy sect, directly becoming an inner sect disciple. So naturally, there will be one less spot for you. What? Someone directly became an inner sect disciple? Hearing this, everyone was shocked. One had to know that they knew the rules of the alchemy sect. Usually, when they came, they would be outer sect disciples. It was very rare to hear of someone who could directly become an inner sect disciple. Impossible! Damn it, how is this possible? Fong Ting screamed. Originally, she was full of confidence and thought that she would definitely be able to enter the inner sect this time. However, she did not expect such a thing to happen. This is against the rules. I'm in the top 10, so I should enter the inner sect. Fong Ting quickly said. However, the outer sect elder snorted coldly, "Noisy! Is this a place for you to behave atrociously? This is the sect's decision. What are you dissatisfied with?" At the end, his voice was incomparably cold, and even emitted a powerful aura. Oh no! Sensing this aura, Fong Ting was also scared silly and quickly knelt on the ground. Seeing this, the outer sect elder said in a deep voice, "With your talent, after cultivating for a period of time, you will definitely be able to enter the inner sect next time. This time, you can go back first." After saying that, he waved his hand and took Qin Feng and the other 9 inner sect disciples away. Only the shocked crowd was left behind. Damn it, this is too despicable. I have to find out who replaced me. I'm going to tear him into pieces. Fong Ting knelt on the ground and screamed crazily. As for the surrounding warriors, their scalps went numb. That was because they knew that the disciple who became an inner disciple was going to be in trouble. Fong Ting's brother was an extremely terrifying figure in the inner sect. With his ruthless attacks, he could kill anyone. For the past few days, Lin Xian had been cultivating in his room, but he would come out from time to time. In the vicinity of his courtyard, there were many spiritual herbs that he needed to take care of. He would hand over 70% of these spiritual herbs to the sect, and the remaining 30% would be his reward. This was an inner disciple. If he wanted to be promoted to a core disciple, he would only need to pay half of it. In the past few days, while Lin Xian was taking care of the spirit herbs, he also got to know some of the surrounding inner sect disciples. They were familiar with each other. One day, while Lin Xian was cultivating, someone suddenly knocked on his door. Lin Xian immediately opened his eyes. He stood up and opened the door. The person who knocked on the door was his neighbor. He was also an inner disciple, and his name was Zhou Hai. In addition to Zhou Hai, there were 2 or 3 other figures, all of whom were inner disciples nearby. "What's the matter?" Lin Xian asked. Usually, no one would disturb him during the day. Now that the other party was here, it meant that something had happened. "There's a mission for us." "Mission?" Hearing that, Lin Xian frowned. He naturally knew that to become a disciple of the alchemy sect, one had to complete some sect missions. However, he did not expect that the mission would come so soon. "Yes, it's like this. Recently, the cities near us have been losing spirit herbs. Sometimes there are even obvious riots. It's obvious that it's man-made. According to various investigations, we finally found out that it's the people from the 10,000 Poison sect. Now, the sect has issued a mission to kill the people from the 10,000 Poison sect. Many inner sect disciples have already taken action because the rewards this time are too generous. Every time you kill a martial artist from the 10,000 Poison sect, you can get 1 sect contribution. 10 sect contribution points can be exchanged for a high-grade alchemy book or a top-grade spirit herb. Those spirit herbs are not the ones we planted. They are all extremely precious. Every one of them is worth a lot. It seems that the sect is really angry this time. Yes, especially those high-grade alchemy books. Even the core disciples are tempted. I think many of them will go this time. We want to go too, so we came to call you. How about it? Do you want to go together? Zhou Hai and the others asked. Okay, let's go take a look. Lin Xian nodded. He had nothing to do anyway. He could get rid of some people from the 10,000 Poison sect and exchange for some spirit herbs and alchemy books. He was happy. All of Lin Xian's belongings were with him, so there was nothing much to pack. He left with Zhou Hai and the others and flew towards the city at the foot of the mountain. At the same time, Fang Ting was also contacting her brother in the inner sect through letters. Fang Li, Fang Ting's brother, was also an inner sect disciple. Moreover, he was a very powerful inner sect disciple. It could be said that everyone in the inner sect knew of Fang Li's existence. When he found out that his sister's spot had been taken and she could not enter the inner sect, his face immediately darkened. Investigate. Who took my sister's spot? Fang Li said coldly to a few of his underlings beside him. Don't worry, young Master Fang. We'll investigate now. These followers were also inner sect disciples. They quickly went out to investigate. Soon they returned. We found some information. That kid is called Lin Xian. He came 5 days ago. He was indeed directly promoted to an inner sect disciple. However, we can't find out the reason. How strong is that kid? Fang Li asked in a deep voice. I don't know about his alchemy skills. However, according to those who have seen him, he's only a 1-star king. 1-star king? Hearing this, Fang Li's frown deepened. The people around him sneered. How can he be promoted to an inner sect disciple with such a weak cultivation? Could that kid be an alchemy genius? Impossible. If he's really an alchemy genius, we should have known the moment he came in. But now, he's keeping a low profile. I'm afraid there's something fishy going on. Fang Li snorted. No matter who he is or how he got in, he must pay the price for taking my sister's spot. Let's go. Let's see what Lin Xian is capable of. Fang Li snorted and ran towards Lin Xian's courtyard. Chapter 1558. Along the way, many inner sect disciples' expressions changed when they saw this. Isn't that Fang Li? Why does he look so pale? Where are they going? They don't look friendly. Oh my God, Someone dares to provoke Fong Li? Isn't he afraid of death? I heard that someone took Fong Li's sister's place in the inner sect. I think Fong Li is going to find trouble with the other party. What? Is there such a thing? That should be right. There is indeed a new disciple in the inner sect. I think his name is Lin Xian. Look at them, they are indeed going to Lin Xian's courtyard. The surrounding inner sect disciples are whispering. When they saw this, they followed them. Fong Li and his group stopped in front of Lin Xian's courtyard. Is this the place? Fong Li looked ahead with a cold gaze. Yes, young Master Fong, this is the place. Wait, I'll get that kid to come out. One of the inner sect disciples said. Then he stepped forward and shouted coldly, Lin, get out here. His voice was like thunder, turning into a sharp sword that quickly spread inside. However, it was quiet inside. There was no response at all, let alone a person. How dare you put on airs in front of me? Seeing that there was no response, the inner sect disciple was very unhappy. He snorted coldly and waved his sleeve. Suddenly, a powerful force pushed forward. With a boom, the door and wall in front of him exploded. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. Was he going to do it himself? However, after waiting for a while, no one came out. Soon, a few inner sect disciples entered the courtyard at lightning speed to check it out. Then they came out and said, Young Master Fong, there's no one inside. No one? Hearing this, Fong Li frowned and asked coldly, Do any of you know where that kid went? Whoever provides me with the clue, I'll give him a high-quality spiritual herb. Immediately, someone ran out and said, That Lin kid went to take on a mission. The one from the 10,000 Poisons sect. A mission from the 10,000 Poisons sect? Hearing this, Fong Li narrowed his eyes and a cold smile appeared on his face. Then, with a flip of his palm, he took out a stalk of spirit grass and threw it to the man. How dare you take my younger sister's spot? No matter where you run, you won't be able to escape death. It just so happens that I'm also going to accept the mission from the 10,000 Poisons sect. I'll take care of that brat while I'm at it. Fong Li sneered and left with his men. Upon seeing this, the surrounding inner disciples shook their heads and sighed. Sigh, that Lin Xian guy is too unlucky. He actually offended Fong Li, that's right. With Fong Li's strength and methods, that kid won't be able to get anything out of him. That's not all. If they meet him outside this time, that kid might lose his life. When the time comes, Fong Li will kill that kid and push the blame to the 10,000 Poisons sect. Even if the sect finds out anything, they won't care. Forget it. This matter has nothing to do with us. Let's not bother about it. The group of people left one after another. At the foot of the mountain, the surrounding cities were like stars in the sky. Although only a few days had passed, Lin Xian discovered that the appearance of this place had changed. Among them, many cities had been attacked. The city walls had collapsed, the houses were damaged, and deep holes had appeared on the ground. Not only that, but there was also a green mist in the surroundings that contained a deadly poison. Even a king had to be careful when dealing with it. According to Zhou Tian's introduction, this was a unique technique of the 10,000 Poisons sect. This green mist was extremely terrifying. It was condensed from many king-level demonic beasts. It could be said that it was extremely powerful. Anyone below the king level would definitely die if they touched it. As for king-level cultivators, if they accidentally inhaled it, they would lose a lot of their strength and might even be heavily injured. Therefore, they had to be careful when fighting against the 10,000 Poisons sect. Damn, these people from the 10,000 Poisons sect are really despicable. Just this poisonous mist alone has consumed a lot of my spiritual energy. If we weren't kings, we probably wouldn't have been able to stay in this poisonous mist for too long. An inner disciple's face was gloomy. Obviously, the poisonous mist in the surroundings was a huge burden on him. These people were Lin Xian and the others. They had appeared in the city. Among them, Zhou Hai looked at Lin Xian's calm expression and asked in confusion. Brother Lin, could it be that you're not affected at all? Heavens, your spiritual energy is too strong, isn't it? Indeed, there were countless sword chi revolving around Lin Xian's body. Every sword chi was extremely sharp, and the poisonous mist couldn't get close to him at all. Zhou Hai and the others were also using their own methods, but their expressions weren't as calm as Lin Xian's. Among them, Zhou Hai and another disciple called Yang Song were the strongest. Both of them were 2-star kings. The remaining 2 were late-stage 1-star kings. The 4 of them walked carefully, while Lin Xian checked the surroundings. By the way, Brother Lin, are you a swordsman? This sword chi is too sharp, isn't it? While the others were still envious, Lin Xian frowned and said in a deep voice, I seem to have found something strange. Strange? What is it? Zhou Hai and the others were puzzled. They were also alchemists, and their soul power was very strong. However, they didn't find anything strange at all. However, looking at Lin Xian's expression, it didn't seem like he was pretending. Therefore, they were very puzzled. Come, follow me. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian dashed forward. Although Zhou Hai and the others were puzzled, they still followed. Soon, they left the city and entered the primeval forest. After flying for a while, Lin Xian's body swayed and flew down. Seeing this, Zhou Hai and the others also flew down. Then, they opened their eyes wide in disbelief, because there were countless corpses on the ground. However, most of the corpses had turned into white bones, and the remaining ones were also rotting. Obviously, they were all poisoned to death. These are the warriors from those cities. It seems that they have fought with the 10,000 poisoned sect. The others gasped. The distance was too far. Ordinary people couldn't sense it at all. Even they couldn't sense it. However, Lin Xian seemed to have known it all along. Just how strong was his soul force? Lin Xian looked at the scene and frowned. What a strong poison. Not only had the corpses rotted, but the entire ground had also become a land of death. There was no trace of life. Furthermore, the poisonous gas would spread out and gradually fuse into the void to form a poisonous fog. It wouldn't be long before the whole place became a land of death. Not even a blade of grass would grow. Zhou Hai frowned. He summoned a white mouse from his king's domain and fed it a pill. Suddenly, the white mouse shone brightly. Its black little nose twitched as if it was looking for something. Chapter 1559. Zhou Hai was overjoyed and called out, Brother Lin, come quickly. We found their tracks. You found their tracks? Lin Xian was also surprised. He didn't expect the sect to have such a method. His figure flashed and he followed behind. At this moment, the dark red dragon in his sleeve explained. This is a spirit-seeking mouse. It's a very intelligent beast with a very developed sense of smell. It can track people down. So that's how it is. Lin Xian nodded. He finally understood how the other party could find the 10,000 poison sect's tracks. In front of them was a continuous mountain range. The peaks were thousands of feet high and stood on the ground like divine swords. When Lin Xian and the others arrived, they found that the spirit-seeking mouse was no longer flying. It seemed to have lost its way. What's going on? We lost them? Zhou Hai frowned. He didn't expect his method to fail. Lin Xian also frowned. He used his soul power to investigate, but he didn't find anyone nearby. However, he felt uneasy. At this moment, the dark red dragon transmitted its voice. Kid, be careful. I'm afraid it's a trap. Lin Xian nodded and was about to say something. However, all of a sudden, countless black shadows appeared all around them and surrounded them like ghosts. Sinister laughter rang out in the surroundings. It was like the laughter of evil spirits, causing one's scalp to go numb. Who is it? Come out. Zhou Hai and the others shouted. At the same time, their bodies shone with light as they prepared to defend themselves. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes in surprise. Good method. He didn't even detect the other party's presence. It seems that the 10,000 poison sect has some unusual methods. Haha, I didn't expect it to be a few children. You dare to chase us here? I have to say you're really bold. A cold voice sounded. Not good, it's the 10,000 poison sect. Zhou Hai's expression changed. Everyone be careful. Then he roared angrily, Humph, remnants of the 10,000 poison sect, you've harmed the common people, and now you dare to come near my pill sect? You're courting death. I didn't expect you to be from the pill sect. Since that's the case, then all the more I can't let you live. Before he finished speaking, a green shadow flew out quickly. That green light is too terrifying. It's covering the sky and covering the earth. It's like a raging sea. It's heading straight for Zhou Hai. Scram! Zhou Hai roared and punched out. The fiery red fist carried a resplendent light that illuminated the surroundings as it quickly slammed into the green light. Boom! A terrifying sound rang out. More than half of the green light was melted by the fiery red fist. However, Zhou Hai did not have it easy either. He took 5 steps back, and the blood in his body was boiling. There was nothing he could do about it. That green attack was simply too terrifying. It wasn't powerful, but its strength was strange, and it even carried poisonous gas. Fortunately, he had been careful in defending himself, so the other party didn't succeed. I didn't expect your strength to be so good. You actually managed to survive under my green devil hand? But kid, don't be too complacent. I only used half of my strength just now. This time, I'll use my full strength. Let's see if you can still block it. The cold voice rang out again, with a strong sense of ridicule. Then, an incomparably violent energy surged out and slammed towards Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai's face changed drastically. The previous attack was still too much for him to handle. However, now that the other party had used his full strength, the aura made him feel suffocated. Seeing that Zhou Hai was about to be swallowed by the green palm, Lin Xian made his move at this critical moment. He waved his hand, and a huge sword chi quickly formed. It shone brightly like a divine rainbow and quickly slashed forward. A terrifying murderous aura shot into the sky. Boom! In an instant, the green palm was cut off by the sword chi. Not only that, the poisonous gas that filled the sky was also completely eliminated. Thank you, Brother Lin. Seeing that Lin Xian had repelled the other party, Zhou Hai heaved a sigh of relief and thanked him gratefully. The others were also extremely shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian's battle prowess to be so powerful. At this moment, the cold voice rang out again. I didn't expect there to be another expert. But kid, since you dared to offend me, you're definitely dead this time. The sound wave turned into a green ocean and spread out in all directions, bringing with it a strange poisonous gas. Damn the 10,000 poisons sect. Zhou Hai gritted his teeth, then quickly took out a few pills and distributed them to Lin Xian and the others. This is the green spirit pill. It can cure hundreds of poisons. Take it and you'll be able to resist the poison of the 10,000 poisons sect. Lin Xian took it and sniffed it. Then he nodded slightly and swallowed the pill. However, Zhou Hai and the others did not look too good. This was because from the previous attack, the other party was at least a 3-star king. They could not resist such an expert at all. However, they were more shocked by Lin Xian's combat strength. Brother Lin, are you a 3-star king? Have you been hiding your strength? The few of them asked doubtfully. Lin Xian smiled and shook his head. No, I just used some secret techniques. However, it's not difficult to resist a 3-star king. You're really boasting shamelessly. The cold voice rang out again. It's not difficult to resist a 3-star king? Kid, it seems like you really don't know your limits. Fine, I'll kill you today and let you know the power of a 3-star king. As the voice fell, countless figures appeared in the surroundings. A middle-aged man walked out from the front. He was wearing a blue robe, and his face was pale and beardless. His eyes were long and narrow, and they were filled with coldness. His eyes were jade green and had an extremely ferocious gaze. This middle-aged man was the one who had attacked earlier. He was also a 3-star king. Behind him stood dozens of 10,000 poison sects nobles, ranging from 2-star kings to 9th heaven venerables. What? So many people! Zhou Hai and the others felt their scalps go numb when they saw this scene. They were already no match for a 3-star king, let alone the 10,000 poison sects cultivators behind them. Are we really going to die here this time? Don't panic. Hold them back. There should be disciples of our alchemy faction nearby. Another disciple quickly sent a voice transmission. Then he waved his hand and flicked a red pill into the sky. Then it exploded, forming a cloud of mist. This was the communication signal between alchemy faction's disciples. It could be used to call for help. Now that it was used, it could be seen from hundreds of miles away. However, the middle-aged man in the blue robe sneered. He waved his hand, and countless green lights surged out of his body and rushed into the sky, enveloping the red mist. Hee, you want to call for help? It's useless. Today is the day you die. Damn it. Zhou Hai and the others' expressions changed drastically when they saw this scene. Meanwhile, Lin Xian's eyes were gloomy. Although the signal for help had been blocked, these people were not much of a threat to him. As long as he attacked with his full strength, he could kill all of them. That was exactly what he was thinking. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated, and an aura was about to be released. Chapter 1560. The voice was extremely terrifying. Not only did Zhou Hai and the others' expressions change, but even the middle-aged man from the 10,000 Poisons sect looked gloomy. Lin Xian's heart also jumped. He narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. This energy was too terrifying. It seemed to have surpassed that of a 3-star king. Could it be a 4-star king? Thinking of this, Lin Xian frowned. He didn't attack again. Instead, he quietly watched. Even a 4-star king would be difficult for him. If the other party was from the 10,000 Poison sect, then he could only take Zhou Hai and the others and leave. Soon, the figure arrived and floated in the sky. He was like a god of war, looking down. It was a youth with a cold expression. His gaze was like lightning, causing one's heart to tremble. A fiery red cauldron floated above his head. 2 fire dragons were carved on it, circling around each other. The 10,000 Poisons sect dares to behave so atrociously near my alchemy sect. You really don't know what's good for you. The mysterious youth's cold voice sounded. Who are you? Below, the middle-aged man from the 10,000 Poisons sect had a grave expression. The cultivators behind him also frowned. They could feel how powerful the other party's aura was. Core disciple of the alchemy sect, Lu Chao. The mysterious youth said coldly, I've already answered your question. You can die now. In the sky, the mysterious youth waved his hand. Immediately, the red cauldron above him emitted a resplendent light. It was like a sea of fire, and it was rapidly rolling down. Countless flames soared into the sky, piercing through the sea of clouds and instantly enveloping all the cultivators of the 10,000 Poisons sect. Ah! Miserable screams rang out. The cultivators of the 10,000 Poisons sect tried their best to resist, but to no avail. Even the blue-robed middle-aged man used his king's domain to try and escape. However, Lu Chao coldly snorted. He pointed his finger, and flames soared into the sky, turning into a fire dragon that instantly swallowed the middle-aged man. In an instant, all the cultivators of the 10,000 Poisons sect were killed. Even the surrounding poison gas was evaporated by the sea of fire, leaving not a trace behind. So powerful! They were all killed in an instant. Zhou Hai and the others widened their eyes in disbelief. Lin Xian was also extremely surprised. His opponent's strength had exceeded his expectations. He was indeed an expert. Most likely, his strength had already surpassed that of a 3-star king. Furthermore, from the other party's words, he seemed to be a core disciple. Is this the strength of a core disciple? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and carefully sized up his opponent. Greetings, senior brother. Zhou Hai and the others shouted respectfully. At this time, the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar. A few figures flew over like lightning. They were all young people wearing the attire of the alchemy sect. It seemed that they were also disciples of the alchemy sect. This time, there were a total of 5 or 6 people, both men and women, and their strength was not weak. When these people arrived and saw the scene below, Jing immediately smiled and said, Senior Martial Brother Lu is indeed powerful. He killed nearly 110,000 Poisons sect's martial artists with a raise of his hand. Such means are heaven-defying. That was because senior brother Lu was also a very powerful existence among the core disciples. However, these people from the 10,000 Poisons sect are too despicable. They actually dared to come to our pill sect and behave atrociously. And from the looks of it, there were quite a few of them. Could it be that they were plotting something? The new disciples quickly conversed. At this time, the core disciple called Lu Chao looked down and said in a low voice, "Are you all inner sect disciples?" "Yes," Zhou Hai quickly said. "Thank you for your help, senior martial brother Lu." Lu Chao nodded and said again, "You should go back. This time, the 10,000 Poisons sect's martial artists are strong. They are not people you can fight against." "Okay, we'll go back now." Zhou Hai and the others nodded. They knew that the other party was right. This time, the 10,000 Poisons sect's martial artists were very strong, and there were many of them. They were afraid that it would be very dangerous for them to stay here. "Lin Xian, let's go." Zhou Hai looked to the side and said quickly. Lin Xian nodded and turned to leave. However, at this time, a young man in the sky frowned and asked coldly, "Lin Xian? You're Lin Xian, the new inner sect disciple?" There was a sinister coldness in this voice. Lin Xian stopped and looked back. Zhou Hai and the others were confused and stopped as well. He looked back and saw a handsome man standing there. However, his eyes were very cold, and there was even a hint of killing intent. This made him very confused. The other party wanted to kill him, but he did not know him at all. At this time, the other disciples asked, "Fang Li, what's going on? Do you know him?" "It's nothing, just some personal matters." Fang Li explained. Then he looked to the front and said respectfully, "Senior martial brother Lu, I have some matters to settle, so I'd like to stay here for a while." Lu Chao nodded. Then, his body flashed and he turned into a rainbow and left. It seemed that he was going to hunt down the other 10,000 Poisons sect martial artists. When the remaining people saw this, they also followed after him. At this time, only Fang Li was left in the sky. Suddenly, Fang Li's body sank and he landed on the ground. On the opposite side, Zhou Hai and the others frowned. They could not understand why Fang Li stayed. However, looking at his eyes, it was probably not something good. Therefore, they hurriedly sent a voice transmission, "Brother Lin, be careful. Fang Li is considered a figure in the inner sect, but he is not to be trifled with." Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He really did not know what Fang Li's intentions were. This was because he had not interacted with anyone in the past few days in the alchemy sect. It was impossible for him to have a grudge with anyone. In front, Fang Li sneered, "Lin Xian, how dare you steal my sister's spot?" "Your sister?" Lin Xian frowned even harder. He did not know this person's sister at all. "Ridiculous." Lin Xian snorted and turned to leave. He did not have time to waste with this person. "You want to leave?" Fang Li sneered. Then his body flashed and he appeared in front of everyone, blocking their way. At the same time, a terrifying aura surged from his body. It was very sharp. "Fang Li, what are you doing? I'm warning you, don't mess around." Zhou Hai said quickly. "Mess around? Who do you think you are? How dare you control me? Get lost." Fang Li snorted and threw a punch, instantly pushing Zhou Hai back. Bang, bang, bang. Zhou Hai stepped back, cracking the ground. His expression was very ugly. When the others saw this, they all roared. "Fang Li, although you are a 3-star king, we are not to be trifled with. If you push us too far, we will fight to the death." "Fight to the death? Just the few of you? You are not worthy of my attack." Fang Li said coldly, "As long as you get lost and don't interfere, I will not kill you. However, I will not let this kid go today." Chapter 1561. Lin Xian frowned when he saw this. "Do I know you?" "You don't know me, but my sister could have entered the inner sect, but she was replaced by you. Tell me, how can I let you go?" "So that's what happened." Hearing this, Zhou Hai and the others' faces turned ugly, but Lin Xian understood. He did become an inner sect disciple directly, but this was the sect's decision, and it had nothing to do with him. As for replacing Fong Li's sister, he didn't know either. But now, Fong Li didn't explain at all and showed killing intent to him. He didn't take him seriously at all. However, Lin Xian wasn't afraid of a mere 3-star king. So, he said coldly, becoming an inner sect disciple is the sect's decision. If you have any opinions, you can raise them directly. It's no use looking for me. Of course, if you insist on finding trouble with me, I don't mind teaching you a lesson. Teach me a lesson? Fong Li was stunned, then he sneered disdainfully. What a shameless boast. Kid, I think water must have entered your brain. How dare you say such a thing? He sneered disdainfully. As far as he was concerned, Lin Xian was only a 1-star king realm cultivator. Such a person definitely wouldn't be strong. And he was a 3-star king, an extremely powerful existence among the inner sect disciples. He had many secret techniques in his hands, and he also had a very unique flame. It could be said that he was incomparably powerful. He only needed to move his finger and he would be able to squash the other party to death. Yet, Fong Li still dared to boast about teaching him a lesson? What a joke. Kid, I don't care what background you have, and I don't know how you entered the inner sect. Since you dared to replace my sister, you must die. Remember, in your next life, be careful. Don't provoke people you can't afford to provoke. Fong Li's voice was cold, and boundless killing intent surged from his body, forming a murderous aura that pierced through heaven and earth. What? You dare to kill someone? Fong Li, don't you know the sect rules? Zhou Hai roared. According to the rules of the alchemy sect, disciples of the same sect are not allowed to kill each other. Thus, even if there was enmity between them, they would usually just teach each other a lesson. But now, Fong Li wants to kill Lin Xian. This is too shocking. What's wrong with that? A bunch of idiots. In any case, you're out on a mission. Even if you can't return, others will think that you were killed by the 10,000 Poison sect. So, you won't suspect me. Die, brat. Fong Li roared angrily and charged towards Lin Xian. It was a terrifying martial art right from the start. Purple Tiger Beast Fire. A ball of purple flames appeared on Fong Li's body, burning fiercely and releasing a terrifying aura. This type of flame was extracted from the body of a type of demon king. It was extremely terrifying. Now that Fong Li was using it, it was even more terrifying. Purple Tiger Form. On Fong Li's body, purple flames surged rapidly, forming a huge purple tiger. Then, it charged towards Lin Xian. This momentum was too terrifying. It was as if a real demon king was emitting a terrifying aura. Everywhere it passed, the void quickly collapsed. In an instant, it was in front of Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body flashed. Like a ghost, he disappeared from his original spot and appeared on the other side. He dodged it? Seeing this, Zhou Hai and the others were overjoyed. However, in the next moment, they exclaimed. This was because they realized that the purple tiger did not disappear. Instead, it charged towards Lin Xian again. The monstrous flames caused the void to distort incomparably. It's useless. Brat, you can't escape. This is my origin source flame. It won't stop until I kill you. In the distance, Fong Li sneered. Although Lin Xian's speed surprised him, he did not care because he was very confident in himself. On the other hand, Zhou Hai and the others were worried. Damn Fong Li, this guy really wanted to kill Lin Xian. They were afraid that Lin Xian would be in danger. In that case, don't blame me. Lin Xian stopped dodging. Instead, he attacked quickly. He was not a timid person. Since the other party wanted to kill him, he had to kill the other party to prevent future trouble. Azure Dragon Break. A black demonic sword appeared in his hand. Then he stabbed it out. This was a move that he had just learned. When he used it now, its power was terrifying. The sword chi surged and turned into a furious black dragon, roaring at high speed. This black dragon shone brightly like a real divine dragon. It stirred up thousands of waves and moved quickly in the void. On his body, there were countless sword radiances that pierced through the sea of clouds. Boom! The black sword chi instantly collided with the purple tiger shadow, causing a shocking explosion. the terrifying energy shook heaven and earth. However, the explosion disappeared in an instant. All the energy, including the purple tiger, was destroyed by the black sword chi and disappeared without a trace. Zhou Hai and the others had already retreated to a distance to watch the battle. They could not block that energy at all. What? He blocked it? How is that possible? On the opposite side, Fong Li was shocked and could not believe it. Fong Li was only a 1-star king, while he was a 3-star king. The difference in strength between them was like heaven and earth. But he actually managed to block his attack? How is that possible? He can't believe it. In the distance, Zhou Hai and the others were also shocked. Although they had seen Lin Xian fight against the experts of the 10,000 Poison sect, they thought that it was a secret technique that would not last long. But now, Lin Xian blocked Fong Li's attack with ease. This made them extremely shocked. They even realized that it was not a secret technique that could achieve this. Perhaps Lin Xian was really strong. Thinking of this, they all heaved a sigh of relief. On the other hand, Fong Li's expression was terrifyingly gloomy. His eyes were like lightning as he stared ahead. Damn it, that's impossible. How did you do it? Could it be that you took some kind of energy-boosting pill? Yes, that must be it. Otherwise, how could you block my attack? As an alchemist, he naturally knew about this kind of pill that could instantly increase a cultivator's strength. However, it would cause great damage to the body. In his opinion, Lin Xian must have taken such a pill to be able to fight against him. It's just a pill that relies on external strength. How can it compare to me? Next, I'll let you know my true strength. Fong Li comforted himself. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Shameless fool. With that, his figure flashed and he charged forward again. The 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand emitted a monstrous power. Chapter 1569. Bang. The formation that had just been formed also shattered in an instant. All the strange scenes and terrifying auras disappeared. Only the green sword chi was left in the air. The red-haired zombie's expression changed drastically when he saw this scene. He couldn't think of what kind of power could destroy his formation in an instant. One had to know that this formation was very strange and couldn't be destroyed at all. However, a human youth in front of him had actually destroyed it. Moreover, he had destroyed it so easily. He couldn't believe it. Although the red-haired zombie couldn't speak, he obviously had the intelligence of a human. His gaze was uncertain, and his heart was filled with shock. In fact, the sword Dao aura emitted by the other party caused his body to begin to tremble. However, he wouldn't sit still and wait for death. In the next moment, he roared angrily, and a dazzling light burst out from his eyes. Then, the red hair all over his body began to burn, forming balls of red flames that completely enveloped his body. Oh no, he's going to go all out. Be careful! The dark red dragon exclaimed. Sure enough, in the next moment, the red-haired zombie turned into a ray of light and instantly charged towards Lin Xian. Let's end this. Lin Xian shouted coldly and raised his combat strength to the limit. Then he waved the 9th Hell Demon sword and stabbed out. Azure Dragon Break. A wisp of black sword light instantly charged forward like a dragon. This move was very terrifying as it directly attacked the red-haired zombie's head. Instantly, the red-haired zombie's head exploded, and its entire body fell to the ground with a bang. There was no blood, but the surrounding cold aura had disappeared. Moreover, the red hair on the zombie's body also quickly disappeared and finally drilled into its body and disappeared. In addition, a red crystal core fell out of the zombie's body. That was the source of the zombie's energy. Great! Lin Xian retracted his hand and held the red crystal core in his hand. He was extremely happy. The red-haired zombie's strength was close to that of a 4-star king. It was extremely powerful. If he could absorb all the energy inside, he believed that he should be able to break through to the 2-star king realm. Therefore, he didn't leave immediately. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and held the supreme-grade subdivine crystal in one hand and the red crystal core in the other. He used the longevity art to quickly absorb the energy. On the other side, the dark red Shenlong was cleaning up the battlefield, collecting all the valuable items in the cave. Then, he started to absorb those high-quality subdivinity crystals. At this moment, Lin Xian's secret art of longevity was circulating madly, displaying a powerful and mysterious power. The energy inside the supreme quality substandard divine crystal and the red crystal core was like a torrential river. It unceasingly poured into Lin Xian's body, cleansing his meridians. Boom! A low voice sounded, and then Lin Xian's aura suddenly soared. Originally, his cultivation base had already reached the late stage of 1-star king realm. Moreover, along the way, he had continuously killed zombies and absorbed their crystal cores. His cultivation base had also increased rapidly and had already reached a critical point. Now, with the supreme-grade substandard divine crystal and the red crystal core, his cultivation had finally reached the 2-star king realm. So strong! Feeling the energy in his body, Lin Xian was overjoyed. After breaking through to the 2-star king realm, his strength had increased greatly. If he faced the red-haired zombie now, he would probably be able to kill it in a few moves. Moreover, his current strength was still equivalent to a 4-star king. He was even confident that he could defeat core disciples like Lu Chao. It seemed like it was time to find an opportunity to become a core disciple. However, do you think you can be arrogant just because you blocked one of my attacks? Let me tell you, you're too naive. I'll let you know how powerful I really am. Now, it seems like you were the one who killed Fong Li. Lin Xian snorted. So what? Not only am I going to kill him, but I'm also going to kill you. Kill me? You're dreaming. Go to hell. Lu Chao roared. His face was ferocious, and a cold, murderous aura shot into the sky. Boundless flames surrounded him, making him look like a god of fire. He waved his hand, and a red alchemy cauldron appeared in the air. There were 2 lifelike fire dragons hovering above it. With a wave of his hand, endless flames gathered and formed a fire dragon that roared. A terrifying heat wave covered the sky as if the entire sky had turned into a sea of fire. The fire dragon roared and charged toward Lin Xian. The entire void was left with endless lava as if it had been cut open. Lin Xian was in the dragon sword spiritual domain, and it was empty. He emitted a sharp aura like a peerless god of war. He turned into a sword light and dodged the fire dragon's attack. At the same time, he clenched his hand and summoned a small black cauldron. 1000 Beast Cauldron. It was a true earth-grade weapon. In the past, Lin Xian's cultivation was too low to unleash its true power. Now that he was a 2-star king, he had the strength to use the 1000 Beast Cauldron. The palm shadows kept slapping, and the 1000 Beast Cauldron trembled and emitted a black light. One after another, rare beasts swam on top of it. It was as if 10,000 beasts were roaring at the same time, emitting a terrifying aura. In a trance, there were countless demonic beasts circling around. With a flick of his finger, a black light gathered and formed a huge hand of death that slapped forward. Bang! With a shocking blow, the huge black hand covered the sky and slapped the fire dragon, breaking it. Sparks flew everywhere, and the void was dyed red. What? It's broken! On the opposite side, Lu Chao's pupils constricted. If it was a coincidence that Lin Xian had forced him back the first time, then this time, it was definitely not a coincidence that Lin Xian had broken through his attack again. This time, he had even used his own weapon. It could be said that he was going all out. However, Lin Xian could still block it. Damn it, how is this possible? How can this kid have such powerful battle strength? Lu Chao roared and instantly activated his king domain. Immediately, a fiery red domain enveloped him. The terrifying domain distorted the entire void as if it had become a real sea of fire. Lu Chao roared and charged toward Lin Xian with the Red King domain. Soon, he collided with the huge black hand. Instantly, the black hand shattered into pieces, unable to resist. Humph, kid, so what if your weapon is powerful? You're no match for me in terms of domains. At this moment, Lu Chao was very confident. He was a 4-star king, and his domain was already very terrifying. Chapter 1573. However, core disciples were very familiar with the surrounding terrain, so under normal circumstances, they would not enter these formations. Kid, it seems that you're very confident in yourself. Since that's the case, I'm relieved. The man in blue sneered, his eyes full of disdain. He did not believe Lin Xian's words at all. Therefore, he planned to teach him a lesson and let him know what it meant to be arrogant. In the next moment, the man in blue's figure swayed, and he could not help but speed up. Like a bolt of blue lightning, he instantly disappeared on the spot and walked forward. Soon he arrived at a safe place. Proficient in formations? Can you handle it? What an idiot! Let me see how you're going to pass through the formations and traps there. The man in blue raised a disdainful smile because in his opinion, the other party would not be able to walk out at all. If he left, he would probably fall into the formation very quickly. At that time, he wanted to see if the other party could still be arrogant. The man in blue revealed a sinister smile. To be honest, if the other party was not looking for Chuyu, he would have killed him with a slap. Is that so? I think senior brother is overthinking. Are the formations here as magical as you say? At this moment, a light voice was heard. Hearing this voice, the man in blue jumped in fright. He suddenly turned around and found Lin Xian standing not far away from him. Immediately, his eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. How is this possible? How is this possible? How could he walk out of those formations and traps so quickly? One had to know that he had displayed his powerful speed just now. No one below the 4-star king level could keep up with him. However, the other party had arrived at almost the same time as him. It was too strange. Lin Xian saw the other party's shocked expression and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing a mocking smile. Then he said indifferently, "Senior brother, let's go. I have something important to talk to Fairy Chuyu about." Seeing the other party's disdainful smile, the man in blue's face darkened. His eyes flickered with a trace of killing intent. To be honest, he had never been so embarrassed before. Moreover, it was in front of a small inner sect disciple. This made him want to kill him. However, after thinking for a moment, he gave up in the end. Because he didn't know what the relationship between this kid and Chuyu was. Chuyu was a personal disciple. Her status was even higher than that of a core disciple. If he really killed her now, Chuyu would blame him. At that time, he would be the unlucky one. The blue-clothed young man snorted again and said coldly, "Come with me." In the end, he brought Lin Xian to the mountain peak where Chuyu lived. Fairy Chuyu is inside. You can wait outside. After saying that, he turned into a blue light and left without looking back. Lin Xian clasped his hands behind his back and looked ahead curiously. The mountains and rivers were clear, just like a fairyland. It was indeed a good place to live and cultivate. This treatment is really different. Lin Xian sighed. He only had a single courtyard, but the core disciples all had their own mountain peaks. This was a world of difference. With a flicker, Lin Xian arrived at the peak of the mountain. There were several palaces in front of him, but he didn't go in. Instead, he found an ancient tree and sat down cross-legged to cultivate. About 2 hours later, a strange fragrance came from the palaces in front of him. The fragrance was very strong. When one smelled it, they would feel the spiritual energy in their body boil. This is a pill fragrance. Lin Xian opened his eyes and revealed a trace of surprise. He could imagine that it was definitely not an ordinary pill. Otherwise, it wouldn't have caused such a strange fragrance. He's really courting death. What can he do? He's probably a hothead who thinks he can become a core disciple just because he has some background. But he doesn't know that this battle is about strength. Any schemes and tricks are useless. Cold laughter could be heard as the entire plaza fell into an uproar. Lin Xian heard the voices around him and narrowed his eyes. He snorted coldly. He did not say anything because later he would use his strength to let everyone know who was the frog at the bottom of the well. Brother Lin, you can do it. In the crowd, Zhou Hai and the others saw this and cheered. Lin Xian smiled and greeted Zhou Hai and the others. Soon, Lin Xian came to the front of the plaza. The 10 inner sect geniuses in front of him were indeed arrogant and looked at him with disdain. In their eyes, Lin Xian was not qualified to stand with them. Kid, get lost. This is not a place where you can come. I advise you to admit defeat and leave quickly. You'll only embarrass yourself later. Trash wants to become a core disciple? What a joke. A few disdainful laughs could be heard. The others also looked at Lin Xian with arrogance. On the other hand, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and stared at the 3 arrogant fellows. He asked coldly, "May I know the names of the 3 geniuses?" Yang Fan, Qing Feng, Wu Kuan. The 3 of them said arrogantly. Then they sneered, "Kid, you're really ignorant. You don't even know our names?" Lin Xian said coldly, "It's not too late to know now. I'll remember the 3 of you. I won't be merciful to you in the competition later. I'll let you know the consequences of talking nonsense." After saying that, he turned and stood aside. "Kid, you're courting death." The 3 of them were furious. A new inner sect disciple dared to threaten the 3 of them? He was really courting death. The remaining 7 inner sect elites also widened their eyes in disbelief. Many gazes continuously sized up Lin Xian, wanting to know where he got his confidence from. One had to know that he was only a 2-star king. So what if he was strong? At most, he was equivalent to a 3-star king. However, they were 3-star kings and most of them were late-stage 3-star kings. If they used some secret techniques, they could even contend with 4-star kings. They were extremely powerful. They could be said to be the top group of people in the inner sect. Now, a new ant dared to look down on them? It was truly unbelievable. "Kid, I'll teach you a lesson now. You don't know your place." The few of them were about to attack. However, at this moment, a few air-rending sounds could be heard from afar. A few figures were flying toward them like rainbows. It's the core disciples and elders. In the crowd, the inner sect disciples exclaimed. Everyone looked up at the sky. Upon seeing this, the 3 inner disciples who were about to attack immediately halted their actions and harumphed coldly. "Kid, you're lucky. However, you won't be so lucky in the competition later." But soon, he frowned because the longevity incantation seemed to have changed. The longevity incantation was a cultivation method that he had been practicing since he started cultivating. It could be said that it was very powerful. Moreover, there had never been any changes. But now, the longevity incantation had changed. The cultivation method had reversed. Every cultivation method followed a certain path between the meridians and acupoints in the body to provide energy to the body. It could be said that this path was very stable. But now, the longevity incantation had reversed. Lin Xian didn't dare to imagine the consequences. Damn it! What's going on? Lin Xian's expression changed drastically. He wanted to stop, but he realized that he couldn't do it. The longevity incantation was like an azure dragon that quickly reversed in Lin Xian's body, expelling all the energy from the blue pill. Lin Xian's body trembled and he spat out a blue liquid. Those were all the blue pills from before. After spitting out the blue liquid, the longevity incantation calmed down and returned to normal. What's going on? Lin Xian's eyes widened. He couldn't understand. The longevity incantation had stopped him from absorbing energy. This had never happened before. Therefore, he called the dark red dragon and He Tu over. The two of them were experienced and knowledgeable, so they should know what had happened. After He Tu and the dark red dragon heard this, they were also suspicious. They couldn't understand what was going on. Could it be that something went wrong with your cultivation? The dark red dragon said. That's impossible. If something went wrong, I should be seriously injured. But I'm completely fine. Lin Xian shook his head. At this moment, He Tu said, Kid, try taking other pills and see if your cultivation method will reverse. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. He took out a pill that he had refined himself and quickly swallowed it. This time, the longevity incantation didn't reverse. This scene left everyone dumbfounded. After a while, Lin Xian said doubtfully, could it be that there's something wrong with this blue pill? Or could it be that it conflicts with my cultivation method? Other than that, he couldn't think of any other reason. One had to know that he was an alchemist. He had taken countless pills and nothing had ever happened. Only this Big Brother's blue pill could cause the cultivation technique to reverse. Thus, after thinking about it, there were only these two possibilities. He Tu nodded. Your cultivation method is very magical. Moreover, it hasn't made any mistakes for so many years. I don't think it's a problem with your cultivation method. So, it's the pill's problem, the dark red dragon said. Then, his eyes flickered as he carefully looked at the pool of blue liquid on the ground. What a strong energy! He waved his dragon claw and took out a drop to examine it carefully. After looking at it for a long time, he didn't find any problems. As expected, one had to pay a higher price than others in order to be powerful. Fortunately, the matter of Mount Feng wasn't over yet. Perhaps he should go and explore again. The dark red divine dragon was very much in favor of this suggestion. The benefits he obtained last time allowed him to advance by one level. Therefore, he couldn't forget about it now. The two of them didn't hesitate and left the pill sect again. They wanted to set off for Mount Feng. The demonic qi in Mount Feng was now even thicker. It overflowed into the sky and looked like hell. However, there were more martial artists in the surroundings. Moreover, it wasn't just the sects and countries nearby. Even sects and great sects from further away had come. It could be said that there were countless experts now. Damn, what did you discover? Why did you attract so many people? The dark red divine dragon looked at the figures flying in the sky and exclaimed, Kid, be careful. Although there aren't any people from the sacred grounds or the remote antiquity families, those people from the great sects are also very powerful. I'm afraid that their strength is much stronger than your pill sect. Great sects? So powerful? Lin Xian was also surprised. He thought that above the pill sect were the remote antiquity families and sacred grounds. He didn't expect that there were countless great sects in between. He Tu reminded, Kid, don't underestimate these great sections. Some of the more powerful great sects have existed for tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years. The terrifying great sect's foundation and strength are not inferior to the sacred grounds or the remote antiquity families. So powerful! Lin Xian was shocked. Indeed, there were countless experts in the true spirit world and many sects. It seemed that the pill sect wasn't ranked among these great sects. The great sect's foundation was limitless and incomparably terrifying. Even He Tu's words carried a trace of seriousness. Lin Xian took a deep breath. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He believed that with his talent and hard work, he would be able to rule the world one day. While they were talking, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon quickly arrived near Mount Feng. Compared to a few days ago, this place was even more terrifying. The overflowing aura made people tremble just by looking at it. The two carefully advanced. Not long after, they passed through the cave they had entered last time. The deeper they went, the more terrifying the aura became. Fortunately, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon weren't ordinary people, so they were able to resist this terrifying aura. If it were other kings, they wouldn't have dared to enter. However, just as they entered Mount Feng, they were attacked. It was a group of ghosts, emitting a cold aura that surrounded Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon. But this time, Lin Xian's strength had greatly increased, so he easily dealt with them.